Chapter 51-77. He played the song, and the car suddenly became more charming. He played the song, and the car suddenly became more charming. Sumu was also a little tired after being bullied by him for the whole day. She leaned against the seat lazily. The traffic was very bad, and she would occasionally turn her head to look at Yi Xiangnan. Later, her hand was held by him, and then a pure male voice came. Sumu, if you keep looking at me like this, I won't be able to drive. Sumu bit her lower lip. So it's my fault. If not you, who should I blame? There's no second Mrs. Yi here. He smiled and continued to drive. The car drove really slowly. What should have been a 40-minute drive took 2 hours to reach Wen Garden. Yi Xiangnan turned off the engine and looked at the bright lights in front of him. He sighed and said, "The people from the Shen family are already here. Just follow me later." Sumu nodded. After all, such a scene was not pleasant for her. The previous scene with Shen Wenyuan was not very good. In fact, it wasn't just her. Even Wen Yuan didn't think much of Shen Wenyuan. Even Yi Mu Bai and Wen Yuan had some reservations about Shen Wenshuan's intentional seduction of Yi Hui. It was just that Yi Hui's belly was already big, and she liked Shen Wenshuan so much, there was no other way. In the past, Wen Yuan was most worried that Shen Wenshuan and Sumu would rekindle their old love. But now that her son had personally come forward, she felt that there would be no problem. Although it was a little awkward, at least things were put together in this way. Everyone was happy. Here, Sumu was about to get out of the car. Yi Xiangnan took his coat from the back of the chair and directly put it on her shoulders. Wait a minute. He got out of the car first and went to the back seat to get an umbrella. Then he opened the door for her. To be honest, this treatment was very good for Sumu. Yi Xiangnan rarely was so considerate to women. Most women were tools to make money for Star's entertainment, and he did not see them as women. It was just such an ugly little thing. If he were to dote on her, she wouldn't care about it at all. She wouldn't be interested in things that other women yearned for but couldn't get. Just thinking about it, Yi Xiangnan's heart was full of feelings. He held her and walked into the house. Sumu wanted to break free, but he was so strong that she could not do anything. Yi Xiangnan was the eldest son of the Yi family and the successor of Star's entertainment. The Wen family liked him very much. He had a very high status and was good-looking, so the servants in the family also liked him very much. When they went back, they all crowded around him. "Young master, you are wet. Don't freeze wearing a shirt on such a cold day." Yi Xiangnan smiled and released Sumu from his arms. "Aren't you protecting this heartless thing?" When the servant saw Sumu, he laughed and took slippers for them to change into. "Young mistress is not a thing." Yi Xiangnan smiled and stared at Sumu. After a while, he leaned over and whispered, "I am not saying that you are not a thing." "See?" The servant laughed. "I am not good with my words. Young mistress, please don't be angry." This unusual enthusiasm made Yi Xiangnan look at his mother. He knew that it was her doing, so he did not say anything. He just quietly wiped his hands and helped Sumu take off her coat. "Go and have a cup of ginger tea to warm up." "But we have guests," Sumu said in a low voice. She did not want to affect Yi Hui's marriage because of her. Besides, some things had happened in the past. Just like he said, the more she tried to escape, the more suspicious it would be. Chapter 51-78. 69 books, right? After she finished speaking, Yi Xiangnan acted as if it was normal. "You and Auntie Wang go have some ginger tea. Give me a cup when you come back. I'll just go and say hello." Sumu thought about it and listened to him. She went to the small dining room with Auntie Wang as if she was familiar with the place. Yi Xiangnan watched her leave and then slowly walked to the living room. He greeted the Shen family politely and sat down on the sofa. Then, he picked up a magazine and flipped through it. Shen Wenyuan's parents were fine. After all, they were from a noble family. However, Shen Wenyuan had always had a problem with Sumu. She thought that if Shen Wenshuan and Sumu got married, then Sumu should avoid arousing suspicion. How could she marry into the Yi family? Wasn't she deliberately making things difficult for the Shen family? Originally, She wanted to wait for Su Mu to come over and mention it openly or secretly. However, Su Mu didn't come at all. When Wan and Yi Mu Bai didn't look angry, she was a little confused. In fact, there was nothing she didn't understand. In Wen Yuan's opinion, after Shen Wenshuan and Yi Hui got married, they would still be Shen Wenshuan. However, Su Mu was different. Su Mu had been bought by Wen Yuan long ago. She was considered a child of the Yi family. How could they be the same? How could she be humiliated by Shen Wenyuan? Since they had eaten together today, Wen Yuan definitely wouldn't let Su Mu be wronged. Indeed, Shen Wenshuan and Su Mu had contributed to the Yi family and had contributed children. However, Shen Wenshuan's child was surnamed Shen. Cymbidium chinense was the future heir of the Yi family. This was very important. Su Mu spent 10 minutes in the kitchen and drank half a cup of ginger tea. Auntie Wang held her hands and said with a smile, "I've never seen young master like this. He sincerely treats a girl well. Young mistress is the first." Su Mu held the cup and glanced in Yi Xiangnan's direction. She asked softly, "What about the former Miss Qin? They are childhood sweethearts. They can't compare to young madam's feelings. I can tell that young master's heart is hanging on young madam. I can't be wrong about that look in his eyes." Auntie Wang said sweetly. Su Mu couldn't stand it. Auntie Wang thought for a moment and said, "Oh, by the way, didn't young master say to bring him a cup? Young mistress, hurry up. It's not good if young master is sick. Hurry up and bring him a cup to warm him up," Auntie Wang said as she stuffed a cup into her hand. Su Mu couldn't refuse even if she wanted to, so she had to go over. She and Yi Xiangnan had been together for a long time. When she saw Wen Yuan and Yi Mu Bai, she naturally called them mom and dad. Yi Xiangnan didn't raise his head. He just waved his hand. She sat next to him and handed him the cup. "Ginger tea." Yi Xiangnan threw the magazine in his hand aside. He took the cup from her hand and drank it in a few mouthfuls. Then he asked her if she was hungry. She said she was fine. Yi Xiangnan pressed her to his side and rubbed his hair. "Let's eat together after they finish talking." They looked like an old married couple. He didn't intend to introduce her. It seemed that Su Mu had long been a part of the Yi family. Wen Yuan and Yi Mu Bai were used to it. Anyway, Su Mu was dominated by their son, which made them feel ashamed. But now it seemed that the young couple had a good relationship. Su Mu didn't show any uneasiness. It seemed that her heart still belonged to her son. Wen Yuan was very proud as a mother. Her son was mighty. Chapter 51-79. Wen Yuan, as his mother, was quite proud of her son. However, if she knew what had happened at Star's entertainment today, she would probably have scolded her son. She was already his daughter-in-law. Was there a need to be like this? However, she didn't know. She felt that her son was very capable and had finally won the girl's heart. In her heart, the Cymbidium chinense was already so big. Whether the two little ones held a wedding or not, Su Mu was still her family. Wen Yuan was still a little polite and distant to Shen Wenxian. However, he treated Su Mu like his own child. Sometimes, he would scold Su Mu if he couldn't get through to her. It was as if he treated her like his own child. At this moment, when Yi Xiangnan said this, Wen Yuan immediately said, "We still have a while to finish. Su Mu is hungry. Xiangnan, take her to eat something first." The auntie at home knows that Su Mu is coming, so she specially made her favorite pastry. Yi Xiangnan smiled and reached out to pinch Su Mu's face. However, he said to his mother, "Mom, you fed her for nothing. Look, she doesn't gain any weight at all." When Yuan scolded him, "You're the one who bullied her. Let me tell you, Su Mu is only 23 years old. She still has a long way to go. You should let her rest more and not work all day long. A girl should be married and doted on." Yi Xiangnan nodded. "Mom is right. Today, I will lock Su Mu in my office for the whole day." He said it out loud, and everyone present was stunned. Yi Xiangnan looked around. "Is there a problem? We are legally married and have our marriage certificate." After he finished speaking, he pulled his wife to have some snacks first. The rest of the people were dumbstruck. The men drank their tea to hide their gaffes, while the women. Yi Hui lowered her head. She felt that it was a bit shameful to have such a brother. He was too shameless. Su Mu had worked so hard. Shun Wenyuan, on the other hand, made a fuss and said, "If that's the case, will it affect your work?" No one from the Yi family said anything. How could this affect their work? Now that Yi Xiangnan has gotten a bad taste, he will only work harder. Poor Su Mu. Marrying such a shameless thing like the Yi family is really hard for her. However, in the past, he had never heard of Yi Xiangnan being so abnormal. Everyone was puzzled, but Yi Xiangnan was feeding Su Mu in the small dining room. He fed her 3 times in a row, but she refused to eat, so he let go. He asked Auntie Wang to make a cup of flower tea and held it in her hands to warm her hands. Su Mu was not a blockhead. How could she not feel the pain? She looked up at him. "Are you really not going to ask?" Although she knew that Shun Wenshuan was a good person, the Shun family, she was always afraid that Yi Hui would be at a disadvantage. Yi Xiangnan smiled. "Why? Now that you are married to me, you are standing on the Yi family's side. Are you afraid that your sister-in-law will be at a disadvantage? I am talking to you about serious matters. Why do you have to be like this?" Su Mu was dissatisfied. He smiled and told her the truth. "Don't worry. My mother has not been a Buddhist in recent years. The Yi family can afford a small loss, but do you think there are fools in the Yi family? Although Yi Hui is simple, she is definitely not stupid. You are the only one who likes to worry." As he said that, he flicked her forehead. Su Mu was stunned for a moment. He also felt that her blank look was quite cute. If they were not here, he would have loved her. Chapter 5180. Memorize. On the other side, Shun Wenyuan tried to provoke Wenyuan's dissatisfaction with Su Mu several times, but Wenyuan was indifferent. Later, Shun Wenyuan shut up, but Shun Wenyuan did not stop her even once. It was strange. After dinner, Yi Hui stayed here. Shun Wenshuan sent his parents off and came back to accompany her for a while. Yi Hui leaned in his arms and said softly, "Why didn't you speak up for sister-in-law today? Your sister has been making things difficult for her." Shun Wenshuan reached out to comb her long black hair and smiled. "Isn't it enough to have your brother as your protector? You don't need me to speak up. Besides, if I really helped you, would you cry in the middle of the night?" As he said that, he scratched her little nose. "Water doll." Yi Hui stared at him. "Shun Wenshuan." He laughed in a low voice. "I'm here." She was rarely angry, but when she was angry, her little face was particularly vivid and beautiful. The members of the Yi family were really good-looking. Shun Wenshuan had once asked himself if he liked Yi Hui because of her good temper or because of her beauty. This kind of non-aggressive beauty, gentle and lovely, was the most beautiful thing that could be imagined in the world. He had it once and could never forget it. He was a little emotional, so he pressed her on his shoulder and said a few very gentle words. After that, Yi Hui did not have time to worry about her sister-in-law. In fact, she could also see that her brother and sister-in-law had a very good relationship. Did that mean that Shun Wenshuan also let go? She secretly looked at him, and he smiled. "What are you thinking about?" "I'm thinking, will the child be born like you or like me?" She whispered, "If it's like a girl, it must be smart like you. If it's a boy, will he be too soft and stupid?" Shun Wenshuan rubbed her head. "Yi Hui, why do you think you're stupid?" She was actually very smart, smarter than most people. People who kept rushing forward were not necessarily smart, but Yi Hui was like this. Of course, not everyone was as lucky as her, who could be at ease with the situation. But when he lost his direction, Yi Hui became his best resting place. From that day onwards, Shun Wenshuan and Su Mu had completely turned their backs on each other. This was probably the tacit understanding between the two men. Things had to be resolved eventually. To CEO Yi, a sister had changed a wife, but he still wanted to beat Shun Wenshuan up. On the way back, he didn't say a word. Su Mu knew what he was thinking. She snorted. "They're getting married. Why are you still angry? Or will you be happier if we don't get married?" Yi Xiangnan was a little amused. "What are you thinking about?" I just feel that Yi Hui has been wronged. Actually, Yi Hui had another choice at that time, and that was to break up with Shun Wenshuan. It wasn't that she couldn't bear to break up with him, and it wasn't that she would die without Shun Wenshuan. On the contrary, Yi Hui was very smart. She could live well alone with a child. Actually, she got married because of me. Do you believe that? Yi Xiangnan sighed. Think about it. If she didn't get married, she would be pregnant, and the child would be your ex-boyfriend's. He was explicitly hinting at it. Sumu couldn't stand it anymore. Yi Xiangnan, you've been talking for a long time. What are you trying to say? He held the steering wheel and focused on the front. He said casually, even Yi Hui knows that I love you. Why can't you see it? Sumu leaned against the back of the chair. Yi Xiangnan, do you know what you're saying? I'm confessing. He said lightly, what did you say about Sumu? Sumu was speechless. It doesn't seem to be the right time now. We're in the car. I've booked a hotel. He said suddenly, do you want to go? About the proposal. I'll update tomorrow. Chapter 5181. Sumu was a little confused. She looked at him for a long time and then said, why do we have to go to the hotel? Yi Xiaonan chuckled in a low voice, rubbing his wife's hair while driving. Mrs. Yi, do you really not know or not? I don't know, she said softly. Then, CEO Yi knew that his wife was really pure. She was still young when they were together for the first time. She had a boyfriend at that time. Maybe, they only kissed. But then, CEO Yi thought of his wife kissing his future brother-in-law. He felt very uncomfortable. So, he took it out on her. Sumu was bullied badly by him. At this moment, CEO Yi grinded his teeth and smiled softly, let me teach you. Actually, he didn't know when he fell in love with her. Maybe it was because he couldn't let it go, so he just didn't resist, and didn't allow her to resist. In his bones, CEO Yi was still very domineering. Since he liked her, she had to like him. The more Sumu ignored him, the more he wanted to conquer her, and after seeing his indecent behavior, Sumu didn't want to talk to him anymore. She lowered her head. Where's Cymbidium chinense? What are you afraid of at my mother's place? He said coldly. Sumu couldn't believe it. She said softly and slowly, why didn't you say that in Wen Yuan? And why didn't I see Cymbidium chinense? You didn't ask just now. He smiled lightly, you don't care about your son at all. Sumu was simply too much. She couldn't communicate with him, so she turned her head to look outside. It was still drizzling outside, and she couldn't help but recall how Yi Xiaonan had given her his jacket. As a woman, her heart couldn't help but soften a little. The car drove to GM Hotel. After stopping, he looked at Sumu, let's get off. His voice was quite gentle. Sumu sat there without moving. She was still resisting for the last time. Actually, it's good to go home. Why do we have to stay in a hotel? CEO Yi's face darkened. He looked at his wife and said, I've already booked it. Oh, she replied but still got out of the car and followed behind him. Yi Xiangnan was angry in his heart. That little bit of romance had long since been angered by her. He went to get the room card with a particularly sour expression. He didn't make a sound in the elevator, which made Sumu feel that he was early. But thinking about CEO Yi's various data, it didn't seem like it. It was a simple spiritual morning watch. She declared it unilaterally. Yi Xiangnan didn't know what was going on in her mind. He opened the door of the presidential suite with her with a smirk on his face. Come in. Sumu walked in and was instantly stunned. The presidential suite that cost 88,000 a night was as luxurious as it could be. The key was that the suite was covered with black roses. She knew that it was a rare species. She also knew that it needed to be transported by air. It was raining today. How did the airline get it? It was spread all over the floor and extended into the bedroom. It was the same on the big white bed. That kind of visual impact was especially. Sumu really wasn't vain at all. But at this moment, her heart palpitated. Firstly, it was because of his intentions. Secondly, it was shock. Which woman wouldn't be moved by such a scene? Which woman could stand it? Su Mu's eyes were covered with a layer of mist. She thought that it wasn't that she wasn't vain, but that the scene wasn't enough. At that time, Cheng Zheng was rich and overbearing and booked those big screens, which obviously only troubled her. But this room of black roses and the black pajamas on the bed quietly moved her heart. Chapter 5182. Walking out, she caught sight of Yi Xiangnan leaning against the bar counter in front of the floor-to-ceiling window. He took 2 glasses and poured one for himself while drinking slowly, his face still smelly. Su Mu was speechless as she walked over. "Are you angry?" Her voice was soft as she rarely spoke to him like that. Usually, she would call him Mr. Yi, President Yi, or Yi Xiangnan. Speaking to him in such a soft and intimate manner, even though Yi Xiangnan wasn't talking to her, his face wasn't as sullen as before. Not only was he drinking, but he was also smoking and ignoring Su Mu. Su Mu poured herself half a glass of red wine. "I'll accompany you." As he smoked, he puffed out a ring of smoke in front of her and said coldly, "Didn't you dislike me? Miss Su, what are you doing now? Trying to please me?" Actually, even though Su Mu wasn't a blockhead, she was really pure and innocent. How would she know how to please a man? But now that he was angry, she felt that she should say something nice to cheer him up. Thus, she replied with an M. Even though it was a little stiff, it was still a soft attitude. Even though Yi Xiangnan's heart was breaking down, he still maintained a cold expression. "Why are you trying to please me? Just take it as me thinking too much." As he said that, he took another puff of his cigarette, completely disregarding her. Su Mu leaned beside him and took a sip of wine before saying softly, "These roses must be expensive. They look nice." He glared at her and snorted coldly before saying harshly, "Petty, only caring about money." Surprisingly, Su Mu wasn't angry at all as she smiled. "I'm afraid of squandering money." For some reason, Yi Xiangnan's heart softened a little. He had married an ordinary girl with a rigid personality. However, he could guarantee that if she had a face like hers and a gentle personality, he would definitely not be attracted to her. Therefore, this was also good. She could anger him from time to time. He was quite good. At least he didn't lose out. The wife he married was different from others. She was worth it. CEO Yi went through a lot of things about the contract in his mind before he understood himself. When he looked at her again, he was very calm. Then he said, "Aren't you trying to please me? If not, you must have seen it on TV, right?" Su Mu looked down and drank half of the glass of red wine. She said in a low voice, "I'm going to change my clothes." Yi Xiangnan's Adam's apple bobbed twice. He almost couldn't believe it. A moment later, Su Mu came out. She was wearing that black dress. She was very thin, but her bone structure was really good, making up for the lack of a face. At this time, she had let her hair down and was barefoot. Stepping on the black roses in the room, she looked indescribably soft and feminine. Su Mu walked to his side and smiled. Then, she took the cigarette that he placed on his lips and took a puff. Yi Xiangnan was stunned for a moment. Then, he seemed to explode and snatched the cigarette from her hand. "Why does a woman smoke?" He stubbed out his cigarette and looked at her, up and down. Su Mu looked down. "Yi Xiangnan, did I please you like this?" His eyes shone with a hint of clarity. "Probably." Su Mu walked over and held his arm. "Didn't you say you were going to propose?" She stretched out her finger. "Where's the ring?" Yi Xiangnan looked at her. "You still want the ring after making me so angry?" She grunted and put her face on his shoulder. Yi Xiangnan looked at her and almost went crazy. After a long time, he took out a small box from his pocket and opened it reluctantly. Chapter 5183. Su Mu's voice was very soft. "Yi Xiangnan, this might be the only time in our lives. Shouldn't you be more serious?" He glared at her and said impatiently, "Why? You want me to kneel down and propose?" Su Mu replied, "Shouldn't I?" Yi Xiangnan's face was still sullen. "Su Mu, don't be arrogant." She pushed the ring back and said in a low voice, "Then forget it." Yi Xiangnan glared at her. "Take it or leave it." Just as he was about to take the ring back, Sumu called out softly, "Wait." He looked at her. "You want it now? Women are really troublesome. They say one thing but mean another." Sumu looked at him and took the box over. She opened it silently and wanted to put it on herself. The ring was beautiful and simple. It was a single 12-carat diamond. She froze for a moment and held her breath. Just as she was about to put it on, Yi Xiangnan suddenly said softly, "Forget it." He took the ring from her hand and knelt down on one knee. Without saying anything, he put the ring on her gently. This was his limit. Sumu sat down and looked at the ring on her finger and the man who put it on her. It would be a lie if she said that she didn't feel anything at all. All women in the world fell for this. Roses, diamond rings, and a handsome and rich man. Sumu was a woman too. She would fall for this too. She lowered her head and looked at him. After putting the ring on her finger, Yi Xiangnan looked up and their eyes met. Then, she was pulled onto the carpet by him. At dawn, Sumu's hand was under her hair and she fell into a deep sleep. When the sunlight shone on the bedsheets, she reached out to block it. Then, she felt a headache. She raised her hand and realized that the ring on her finger was a little too big. She sat up and found that Yi Xiangnan had already woken up. He was standing in front of the French window, looking refreshed. His whole body was bathed in the sunlight, looking slender and handsome. He was carrying her on his back, so she could look at him unscrupulously. Sumu thought to herself that he was quite handsome, which was rare. His statistics in all aspects were not bad. Just as she was engrossed in watching, the man on the phone put away his phone and turned around abruptly. "You're awake." She nodded and leaned against the headboard. "What time is it?" Today was Saturday, so there was no need to worry about work. However, she saw that he seemed to be very busy. Yi Xiangnan smiled and sat next to her. "It's 11 o'clock. Let's eat in the room." Sumu looked over and saw that all the roses had been cleaned up. She looked at him. Yi Xiangnan coughed softly. "I cleaned it up." She nodded and didn't say anything else. The atmosphere was quite subtle. Yi Xiangnan picked up her hand and looked at it. "It's quite suitable. Don't take it off." She nodded and said that she was hungry. Yi Xiangnan smiled. "The waiter will bring food over in a while. I have a meeting in the room next door in the afternoon. You stay here and rest. I'll take you out for dinner tonight." Sumu instinctively wanted to refuse and say that she could go home by herself. Yi Xiangnan held his forehead. "I say, Sumu, why are you so insensitive? We're still staying here tonight." Sumu looked at him. "Still staying here?" He nodded. "Yes, still staying here. Is there a problem?" She said no. Yi Xiangnan nodded. "That's good." As he said that, the waiter outside brought the food over. He asked her to wash her face and tidy up while he went to get the food. Chapter 5184. Sumu went to wash her face. She saw herself in the mirror by accident. She almost didn't know that the woman in the mirror was her. Her skin was fair and delicate, looking especially fresh and tender. She stared blankly for a while until Yi Xiangnan called her for dinner. She then pulled the shirt on her body. It was the one that Yi Xiangnan wore last night. Looking at this shirt, Sumu recalled some memories and her face was burning. "Sumu." Yi Xiangnan called her again. She immediately pulled the shirt and went out. Fortunately, it was long enough to cover what needed to be covered. After going out, Yi Xiangnan said faintly, "Come over for dinner." Then, his eyes fell on her body. Looking at the black shirt on her body, his eyes were burning. She looked surprisingly good in black. Moreover, that shirt was his. For a long time after that, CEO Yi would wear black shirts because it could be used as pajamas for Mrs. Yi at night. She didn't have any objections. At this moment, he asked her to sit down. Sumu watched him put the food on the table from the cart. It was quite a luxurious meal and it was nourishing. It was all made with the best ingredients. Sumu sipped the soup and sat there properly. He also looked at her black hair, fair face, and delicate aura. Her hands were fair and slender, and there was an all-American diamond ring on her finger. Yi Xiangnan suddenly realized that his wife seemed to be much more beautiful. She had only been with him for a month, but she had a unique temperament that belonged to a wealthy family. It was not a nouveau riche, but a calm temperament. He looked at her silently and scooped a small bowl of soup for her. "Drink another bowl. You're too thin. You don't like it? Fuck." She lowered her head and actually dared to talk back. Yi Xiangnan was quite speechless. He looked at her and then chuckled. "It's not bad. But it would be better if you put on a little more weight." She only weighed about 90 pounds and was 162 centimeters tall. It would be better if she could reach 100 pounds. That way, it wouldn't show the flesh, but it would look more moist. Su Mu was only 23 years old, but her appearance was really hard to describe. She looked like she was about 26 years old. It was not that she looked old, but her temperament was stable, unlike a 23-year-old girl. This was also good. He didn't want to spend all day coaxing an ignorant little girl, even though she was harder to please than a little girl. As CEO Yi thought of this, his heart was especially conflicted, an indescribable feeling. Su Mu flipped her hair and sipped her soup. She looked up and asked, "What's wrong?" "Nothing, just eating." He glanced at her, smiled, and squeezed her hand. Su Mu wanted to pull back, but she couldn't. Later, he dragged her over and coaxed her to eat quite a bit. Su Mu felt that she was not used to this, but seeing that Yi Xiangnan seemed to like it, she thought to herself, "Do all men like this?" "Shun Wenshuan also treats Yi Hui like this," he suddenly said. Su Mu was a little angry. She didn't like it when he talked about Shun Wenshuan in front of her, as if it was a kind of intentional test. Su Mu lowered her head and didn't say anything. She just ate quietly. "Are you angry?" Yi Xiangnan wiped his lower lip and took the chopsticks from her hand. "If you can't eat, don't eat. If you make a scene in the hospital, I will have to take care of you." He deliberately said it fiercely and impersonally. Su Mu turned her head. "You're angry just like that." He sighed and pulled her sharp chin over. There was a strong intention in it. Chapter 5185. "You're angry just like that." Yi Xiangnan sighed and turned her sharp chin over. Her tone was forceful. "Su Mu, why don't you think about it?" "I'm jealous." "I'm jealous of Yi Xiangnan, Su Mu wanted to move away but couldn't. She could only let him pinch her. Her face was a little hot, and she said in a low voice, "Haven't you been in a relationship before?" "Yes, I have, but..." He said faintly, "But Qin Yi Huan was kidnapped by Shenting before she was 10 years old. There's almost no romance between us. Su Mu, you're almost my first love, but I'm not your first moonlight. Shouldn't you apologize to your husband?" Su Mu was furious. "Yi Xiangnan, you're too shameless." "How am I shameless? Do you think I'm shameless just because I care about you? How is that reasonable, huh?" He chuckled. He felt that it was very pleasant to tease her like this. He pulled her earlobe and suddenly felt that pearl earrings were very suitable for her. His eyes burned for a long time, and he touched it again. He just smiled and said nothing. Su Mu's face was burning. "Aren't you going to the suite next door for a meeting?" He smiled and raised his hand to look at the time. "It seems that it's time." Then he tied it up and asked her to ask the waiter to clean up. Then he rested in the hotel. He would be back at about 4 o'clock. Su Mu nodded. She was indeed a little tired. After asking the waiter to clean up, she took a shower. When she came out, she found a bag on the bedside table. It was a set of clothes. Because she had to rest, she didn't change immediately. Instead, she wore his shirt and took a nap for a few hours. As for the pajamas from last night, it was lying quietly on the floor. Yi Xiangnan said he would be back at 4 o'clock, but he was a little late. He came back at about 5 o'clock, and his heart softened when he saw her lying in the bedroom obediently. He walked to the bed and sat next to her. She was still wearing his shirt, so she looked a little obedient. Actually, she was only 23 years old, so she was still very young. "Little mother," he murmured these words and chuckled. He deftly took out a small velvet box from his pocket and opened it. Inside was a pair of pearl earrings. The design was very simple, like water droplets falling below the earlobes. It was very elegant. He felt that she was suitable today. After the meeting, he went to pick one out and spent 2 hours to find one that was suitable. To be honest, it was not expensive, but now that he was putting it on her personally, it was surprisingly beautiful. Sumu woke up because of his movement. She looked at him and then reached out an arm to touch her ear. She asked softly, "What is this?" Yi Xiaonan picked her up and carried her to the bathroom mirror. "Do I look good?" He rested his chin on her shoulder and leaned in close. Sumu looked at herself in the mirror. The pair of small pearls matched with her black hair, and the black shirt she was wearing made her look very feminine. She couldn't help but say, "It looks good. Where did you get it?" She couldn't bear to put it down. This pair of small pearls made her heart beat faster, and she liked it more than the ring. Yi Xiangnan said softly, "After the meeting, I went downstairs to pick it out for you. Do you like it?" "I like it," she said honestly. Then, he turned her around. "Is there any reward?" Chapter 5186. This reward was quite hard for Sumu. When they went out for dinner, it was already 7 p.m. She was a little tired and didn't want to go out, but she was still dragged out by Yi Xiangnan. When she went out with him, she didn't need to think about where to eat. Yi Xiangnan would arrange everything, and it was almost nourishing. Sumu suddenly thought of something when she was drinking the soup. However, they ate in the lobby outside and not in the private room. This topic was not suitable to talk about in a crowded place. So when there was no one around, she said softly, "Yi Xiangnan, I have something to ask you." He served the dishes for her and looked elegant. "What is it?" Sumu really couldn't say it out, so she just said vaguely, "Let's go back to the hotel." He then smiled very happily. After dinner, they walked outside for a while to digest the food before returning to the hotel. When they returned to the hotel, CEO Yi was not serious anymore, and Sumu was pressed against the door. She pushed his shoulder and whispered, "Do you want a child?" Yi Xiangnan let go of her and smiled. "You don't want to? We are going to get married soon, and this child will be a legitimate child. I will love it no matter if it's a boy or a girl." She didn't speak, so he said again, "Why, do you not believe that I can be faithful to my marriage?" "No." She lowered her eyes. "It's too fast, I'm not ready yet." She looked up at him and begged, "Yi Xiangnan, I don't have any other request. If you want a child, can you wait for 2 years?" He looked at her and then softened a little. He reached out and touched her hair, saying in a low voice, "Sumu, actually, I really want a daughter." She was hugged gently by him. The original plan for tonight. Forget it. Sumu was a little at a loss. After a long time, she asked him in a low voice, "Yi Xiangnan, why?" He smiled bitterly. "If I can't let go of someone, it's probably because I like her. I don't want to make things difficult for myself anymore. It's that simple." In order to maintain a stable relationship, he would not look for another woman. He could be loyal, but the condition was that her body and mind had to be with him. If she was not, he would punish her. Sumu was also quite speechless. She stared at him for a long time before saying softly, "Yi Xiangnan, we didn't love each other before." He suddenly said in a rough voice, "But I love you very much now." Sumu was shocked and speechless. Yi Xiangnan moved closer to her ear and whispered, "So, you have to love me too, understand? Otherwise, I'll kill you." Sumu looked up at him with tears in her eyes. Yi Xiaonan couldn't care less. She pulled her into her arms unceremoniously. He heard that his first love was going to marry the gigolo's ex-husband and that they were going to have a grand wedding. Moreover, Lawyer Shen was going to be the gigolo's brother-in-law. What was wrong with Lawyer Shen and Sumu? Was it nice to marry into the Yi family? Did he not have money? He could have taken them all. Master Cheng was very angry. He had been angry with Su Jian for a long time, so it was useless even if she tried her best to serve him. Recently, Master Cheng was very irritated and often hit her. Su Jian couldn't take it anymore, but she couldn't leave Master Cheng. Moreover, she was indeed infatuated with him. Master Cheng came back from outside and sat on the sofa with his legs crossed. He looked at the documents sent by his subordinates with a very impatient expression. He didn't study for a few days, so looking at these gave him a headache. Chapter 5187. He hadn't studied for more than a few days, so he got a headache just by looking at them. After looking at them for a while, he threw them aside and was about to grab Su Jian to relieve his boredom. Su Jian went over and accompanied him for a while. Then, she picked up the documents and coaxed him to read them. Master Cheng took a puff of smoke from his cigar and said indifferently, "Help me read them. I hate reading them the most. Didn't you go to school for a few years? Can you even recognize words?" Su Jian was about to vomit blood, but she still said softly, "Then I'll help Master Cheng take a look. If there's no problem, I'll tell Master Cheng." Su Jian was indeed a very smart person. After reading such a stack of documents and reports, she was actually able to digest them. However, she was also shocked by Master Cheng's business and the huge amount. But she also benefited from it, so she couldn't leave it, so it didn't matter. She pointed out a few mistakes and showed them to Master Cheng. When Master Cheng saw them, his eyes widened, and then he pulled the female secretary who did the reports over and scolded her. The female secretary cried quite fiercely. Su Jian looked at the woman coldly and thought to herself, why did Master Cheng use his mouth and not his hands? She didn't know that Master Cheng had a problem. He still had some respect for cultured people. The female secretary was also a university graduate, and she was usually very delicate. He was only willing to scold her, but he really didn't hit her. When he hit her, he usually only hit the women with whom he had done hair, because he had spent millions of dollars. No matter what, she had to bear with it. Comparing Su Jian and Su Mu, the treatment was different. However, Su Jian was infatuated with Master Cheng's strong masculine aura. She couldn't bear to leave this kind of extravagant life. Master Cheng bought her a villa, which was considered as her hard work. So, Su Jian followed Master Cheng with some reluctance, feeling that she was different from other women in his heart. However, she also knew that Master Cheng's heart was thinking of Su Mu, and he treated her like a white moon. These days, he was unhappy because Su Mu was going to get married. Su Jian was very uncomfortable. After the secretary left, she gently lit a cigarette and blew out a smoke ring. "I thought Master Cheng was going to make a move." Master Cheng glared at her and said, "Why would I hit her? She's just a young lady who earns tens of thousands of yuan a month. It's quite hard." Su Jian was going to vomit to death. Making a few tables with tens of thousands of dollars was still considered tiring. She accompanied him to be punched and kicked. That was the real suffering, and no one felt sorry for her. She had nowhere to go even if she acted coquettishly. Master Cheng looked at her. "You knew about it." Su Jian wanted to keep him in suspense, but Master Cheng gave her a kick and scolded, "Don't try this with me. Be careful that I don't beat you to death." Su Jian's face darkened. She lowered her eyes. "She's getting married, and you're taking it out on me? If you have the ability, go and find that great reporter Liu. She won't let you have it easy." Originally, she wanted to praise her own good, but who knew that Master Cheng's eyes had a hint of interest. "You're right. That woman is much more interesting than you. She's not like you. Every day in the villa, you don't even get a proper set of clothes to wear. Every day, you wear pajamas and pajamas. Looking at them in big chunks, it's no longer fresh." Master Cheng was a boorish man. He said what he wanted to say. Su Jian was furious. "Didn't I say it because you like it? I look at it every day. I'm tired of it." Chapter 5188. After Master Cheng finished speaking, he swaggered away, not caring if Su Jian was angry or not. Anyway, no matter how angry this woman was, she would still kiss him. He, Master Cheng, was rich, had a good body, and was also handsome. Where could she find such a man? Master Cheng drove a flashy sports car. It was winter, and he wore sunglasses. A real nouveau riche. The car drove to the Sun newspaper and waited patiently for Hong Jie to get off work. Perhaps the car was too flashy, so everyone in the newspaper knew. Du Meili was especially angry, twisting her waist. I heard that some people have developed feelings for criminals. No one paid attention to her, but Jong Futsai came out of the office and scolded her. Mainly because he was no longer in a relationship with this woman, he could scold her whenever he wanted. Chief Editor Jong was very happy. However, when he thought of the car and the man downstairs, he couldn't bring himself to laugh. He could only smile bitterly and take out a cigarette. I'll say this first. Whoever dares to provoke Cheng Zheng will get the hell out of here. His words were too arrogant. Cheng Zheng made a phone call downstairs and bought the Sun newspaper. When she came up, the former boss came along to hand over the handover and let the employees familiarize themselves with the new boss. Du Meili looked at Jong Futsai and sneered. You'll be the first to get the hell out, my ex-husband. Jong Futsai was furious, but now wasn't the time to lower himself to Du Meili's level. He still had to deal with Master Cheng. It was humiliating for a man, but he had to go. He was the boss here. Although Hong Jie was his ex-wife, she was still his subordinate. Jong Futsai was also afraid of trouble and pain. The injury from last time was still hurting, but he still mustered up the courage to go forward. Just as he was about to speak, Master Cheng stopped him with a finger. Chief Editor Jong, think about your injuries and your two cute children. Do you want to meddle in this business? I've bought this place. Is everyone here? Although Du Meili was vain, she couldn't stand Master Cheng's attitude. She just wanted to see Hong Jie make a fool of herself. Hong Jie walked out of her office and said calmly, I resign. She was about to pack up her things and get out of here. She had a few million in savings, a house and a car. She could live on even if she had to sit at home for 10 years. To hell with justice, she was done. Master Cheng also knew that she had this trick up her sleeve. He turned his body sideways and said, Take care, great reporter Liu. However, we have quite a lot of people here. How about this, Chief Editor Jong, you've been here for quite a few years, and I heard that you're familiar with great reporter Liu. Let's advance and retreat together. Sister Hong turned her head and asked, Cheng Zheng, what do you mean? Master Cheng took off his sunglasses and smiled. You know what I mean, reporter Liu. If you dare to walk out of this door, your precious ex-husband will have to scram. What if I don't leave? Will you give me this newspaper office? Sister Hong raised her eyebrows and took out some lipstick from her bag to touch up her makeup. She looked quite slutty, but surprisingly, she was likable. In particular, she caught Master Cheng's eye. He was telling the truth when he said that she had a taste. He and the great reporter Liu had only met once. Later on, he felt that all the women were not interesting. So, he came and threw a few $100 million just to provoke her. This woman wasn't an idiot like Su Jian, who could be dismissed with a few $100,000. Moreover, this ex-husband was her weakness. Thinking about it, it didn't feel good. How could such a fat coward be Master Cheng's rival in love? Chapter 5189. 1 second to remember. Master Cheng looked at Sister Hong from head to toe, then chuckled lightly, It's not a big deal to give it to you, do you want to follow me? As soon as this was said, everyone in the news agency was stunned. God! She gave away a few $100 million just to accompany Master Cheng. The female colleagues all secretly looked at Master Cheng. Actually, Master Cheng was very handsome, and his body looked good, with a swift and fierce manly aura. The female colleagues secretly blushed, wishing that the person Master Cheng was asking for was them. However, Master Cheng's standards were also very high. With a few $100 million, he only wanted what he wanted, the most expensive and the most unconvinced of him. Other than the great reporter Liu, he did not look at any other woman, especially when Du Meili started to show off her figure, intentionally or unintentionally. Master Cheng said directly, This woman should be transferred to clean the toilet, she's an eyesore. Du Meili's beautiful face turned pale, she could not believe that Master Cheng would treat her like this. What was so good about that old woman Liu Hong, to make Master Cheng look at her differently? Master Cheng glanced at her, snorted coldly, then looked at Sister Hong fervently, What do you think? Sister Hong looked at him, then looked at the surrounding staff, and said lightly, Don't get off work yet, I have something to announce later. This time, everyone clearly understood that Sister Hong had lowered her head to money, But everyone also understood that the reason why Sister Hong lowered her head was so that everyone could not be fired. Because to Master Cheng, a few 100 million could be used to chase a woman. Even if he ruined the news agency overnight, he would not even blink an eye. Master Cheng stared at her, his eyes especially fervently, then he walked into the office with her a little proudly. When the door closed, Zhong Futsai cried out involuntarily, "Liu Hong, you're crazy." His words were sincere. When they were young, they had their share of unbearable times, but now they were very good friends. Sister Hong had a deep temperament, and Zhong Futsai knew that he was not good enough for her. However, if Liu Hong were to get married one day, he hoped that it would be a very good man, and not a boorish man like Cheng Zheng, who was a nouveau riche and a boorish man. His words made Master Cheng very angry, and he came over to teach Zhong Futsai a lesson. This damn fatty relied on his ability to read a few words to deceive so many young ladies, and he still had the nerve to clamor here. However, just as he took a step forward, Sister Hong spoke up softly, "Didn't you say that you would give this place to me? Zhong Futsai is one of my subordinates. Naturally, I will handle my men." Master Cheng smiled and wasn't in a hurry to go in. He leaned against the door and asked with great interest, "Baby, how do you plan to deal with him?" Sister Hong lowered her eyes. "I'll clean the toilet with Du Meili for a week." Everyone laughed, but they didn't dare to laugh. However, they all felt that Sister Hong's idea was very good, very good. Wouldn't Chief Editor Zhong and Du Meili be able to kiss each other in the toilet? Zhong Futsai's pig face turned red. He wanted to flare up, but looking at Sister Hong's face, he could not help but swallow his anger. It was his own doing, and he knew Liu Hong very well. She was trying to protect him, and even protect Du Meili. For a moment, he was ashamed and ashamed. Master Cheng was also very happy. He reached out and pinched Sister Hong's face. "Baby, your idea is really good." Sister Hong then slapped his hand away. "Show some respect." Chapter 5190. Master Cheng wasn't angry. He said in a manly manner, "In a while, you'll be mine. Tell me, how can I still respect you? Tell me the rules and I'll do whatever you want me to do." Sister Hong glared at him and closed the door. Outside, there was no sound at all. Everyone was guessing what was going on inside. Behind the door, Sister Hong was pressed against the door by Master Cheng. She struggled but couldn't break free. Then, she raised her hand and gave Master Cheng a slap. "Are you crazy? Why did you come here to act up?" Master Cheng was furious. He thought that once the door was closed, it would be a gentle place. He didn't expect this woman to be so impolite. So, he raised his hand and gave her a slap. However, the strength was very light. At least, it wasn't as strong as when he hit Su Jian and the other women. It was just a small symbolic slap. This woman was the one who started it. If he didn't show some power, how could he control her in the future? Moreover, Master Cheng always had a plan in mind. His woman could be hit. If he hit her, it would mean that she was his woman. He thought that he had touched her a little, which was enough for him to have tender and protective feelings for the fairer sex. If this woman knew when to advance and retreat, she would serve him well. Who knew that when he put down his hand, the other side of his face was ruthlessly slapped by this woman again. That strength was truly ferocious. Master Cheng's eyes became fierce. There had never been a woman who dared to treat him like this. He pulled her hair with one hand and raised his other hand to slap her. If he didn't subdue this woman today, he wouldn't be Master Cheng. Sister Hong closed her eyes and raised her face as if waiting for him to slap her. She looked very brave, but her body was trembling slightly. She still looked a little scared. Grandpa Cheng's fan-like hand couldn't come down no matter what. He stared at her fiercely for a moment before his hand came down. He lightly patted her face and said in a rough voice, "If you dare to make a scene again, I'll kill you." After all, he wasn't happy to let go of her. He sat on her desk and picked up a cigar. As he smoked, he looked at her with narrowed eyes. He looked very unhappy. Sister Hong slowly opened her eyes. She was a little surprised that he didn't hit her. Didn't he like to hit women the most? Perhaps seeing through her thoughts, Master Cheng said gruffly, "If you dare to do this again, I'll deal with you over and over again." Sister Hong walked to his side and took out a cigarette from the table. She lit it up and took a puff before saying softly, "Cheng Jing, we're not the same kind of people. You just want to sleep with a woman that you find interesting. I really can't afford a few $100 million. Master Cheng stared at her. You're willing to give it to me for free? Sister Hong cursed. She then looked out the window. I've reported on a lot of darkness. Cheng Jing, don't tell me you think I don't know what you do for a living. Don't you think it's funny that I'm with you? Isn't money ridiculous? He walked over, turned her face, and blew a mouthful of thick and heavy cigar smoke on her face. He sneered, "What's the point of reputation? I remember the last time you were trapped, it was that gigolo, Yi Xiangnan, who saved you, right? Think about how important power is. Otherwise, you might not have been able to come back from that place. Now, think about it, is justice still that important?" Sister Hong just stared at him without saying a word. Master Cheng smiled again. "Not only can I give you this news agency, I can also give you something else. As long as you can name it, I can give it to you." Chapter 5191. Memorized. Sister Hong pushed his hand away and asked softly, "And then? When you get tired of me, you'll kick me away." Godfather Cheng laughed. "Great reporter Liu, why are you still acting like a little girl? We're just taking what we need. Isn't everyone happy? After a long time, you'll feel that we don't have any feelings for each other anymore. Isn't it better to separate? Or do you want me to love you forever? You're not that stupid, are you?" Sister Hong sneered. "Cheng Jing, you really are a scumbag." Master Cheng puffed out another mouthful of cigar. "You're welcome. It's one of my few strengths." Sister Hong was infuriated, but she really couldn't do anything about him. His shamelessness had already penetrated deep into his heart, and he didn't even realize it. Sister Hong turned her head and looked out the window again. "What if I don't?" Master Cheng ground his white teeth. "Then I won't make things difficult for you. But I don't know what happened to the group of people outside." He wasn't very cultured, but he was very meticulous. He could tell that this woman cared a lot about the trash outside. He really couldn't figure it out. Zhong Futsai, that damned pig, had betrayed her, and they had even fought to such an extent. One of them had knelt down for her, and the other seemed to have given herself to him for that damned fatty. What kind of feeling was this? Are they still in love? In an instant, Master Cheng felt like he had been cuckolded. He was so angry that he directly put out his cigar. Then, he pinched her chin and asked, "Do you still have a relationship with that fatty Zhong? Or do you do your hair from time to time?" Sister Hong immediately pushed him away. "Cheng Jing, are you crazy?" Her reaction made him happy. He leaned against the desk and smiled proudly. "You don't like that damn fatty anymore, do you?" But then, Master Cheng remembered Sister Hong's dark history. She used to go to the bar to eat with the little fresh meats, and her hair was always styled. Just thinking about it made him grind his teeth and want to strangle this woman to death. It was really too despicable. Master Cheng stared at her as if he wanted to stare at her. His voice was rough. "In the future, if you dare to date a man outside, just try it." Sister Hong held the cigarette between her fingers and took a puff. "Since you have other women, I can date men. Isn't that fair?" Master Cheng took a deep breath. There was actually a woman who dared to ask him to keep his chastity. Who does she think she is? What kind of beauty was that? She looked exactly like that. Sister Hong didn't want to talk too much with him. If you can't do it, then there's no need to talk about it. Also, go for a checkup before you exercise the contract. I'm afraid that you're sick and it won't be good if I get infected. Grandpa Cheng was furious. "I'm not sick. You are the one who is sick." Sister Hong rolled her eyes at him and said bluntly, "Spending a few $100 million for no reason at all? Is your brain fried?" These words actually made Grandfather Cheng speechless. He rolled his eyes at her for a long time before he finally said coldly, "If I go for a checkup, you have to go too. Do it now. If there are no problems, be a good girl tonight." Sister Hong didn't say anything and continued to smoke quietly. Feeling that he was at a disadvantage, Master Cheng came over and extinguished the cigarette in her hand. His voice was also rough. Why do women smoke? Sister Hong smiled. Didn't Su Jian smoke that thing? Cheng Jing, you've really brought disaster to her. That's Su Mu's sister. Master Cheng said coldly, that's because her values are not right. Chapter 5192. After he said that, Sister Hong sneered, it's really rare that Master Cheng still knows what morality is. A man who had so many women was actually talking about morality. Her somewhat disdainful look made Master Cheng's eyes turn red. He pinched her chin and said, you always date men, so how good are you? So. Sister Hong played with the buttons of his black shirt. When we are together, we are not allowed to have other women or men. At this time, Master Cheng was still a little sneaky. He spent a lot of time outside, and she didn't always watch him. How would she know if he secretly took a bite or two? But this kind of thinking was really dangerous. Anyway, when they lived together later, Master Cheng couldn't even take a bite outside even if he wanted to. Liu Hong, this woman was really clever. At this moment, Master Cheng's heart was beating wildly. This woman was going to be his soon. He was so excited that his eyes were about to turn red. He grabbed her hand and walked out while contacting his subordinates to find a hospital to work overtime. He, Master Cheng, wanted a premarital checkup. The hospital was cleared, and he threw out $1,000,000 yuan. When they walked out, everyone looked at each other in dismay. Master Cheng announced calmly, from now on, this place will be handed over to reporter Liu. Chief Editor Zhong, you will be her assistant. It's best if you stop thinking about other things. That guy with the surname Du, you should clean the toilet. After that, he pulled Sister Hong to the hospital anxiously. He was so excited that he looked like a child who had just gotten his favorite toy. Sister Hong also knew her identity and position in his heart. She had suffered at Master Cheng's hands, and she also knew that he was fresh now. If she didn't comply, not only would she suffer, but the people around her wouldn't benefit either. Rather than that, she might as well comply. A man like Cheng Zheng would soon wear off. That was her plan, and she didn't take it too seriously. She just treated it as a date. Besides, Cheng Zheng was not bad looking, and his body was actually not bad. When they arrived at the hospital, Master Cheng couldn't wait to pull her for a checkup. He ignored the horrifying gazes of the doctors and nurses. In short, he got the list within an hour. Master Cheng proudly threw the list in front of Sister Hong. Like I said, how could I be sick? Look, I'm doing really well. Everything is super good. I guarantee that you'll be extremely happy. Sister Hong, on the other hand, looked at it carefully for a while. Master Cheng's face was full of pride. In the end, he shamelessly pressed against her and said warmly, I didn't lie to you, did I? Come, baby, let me see if you're sick. When she took the list and looked at it, she was unhappy. Liu Hong, you're the one who's sick. It says here, Baron. Sister Hong felt a stab of pain in her heart, but she maintained an indifferent expression on her face. Is there any difference between us being able to have children or not? Cheng Zheng, do you still want to marry me and have children with me? Master Cheng opened his mouth and suddenly felt a little irritated. He didn't know what was going on, but he just felt that something was wrong. It shouldn't be like this. Why couldn't this woman give birth? Although he didn't want her to give birth to his child, he still felt a little regretful that she couldn't give birth. In the end, he said fiercely, is it because you've dated too many men that you can't have children? Yeah. Sister Hong flipped her hair and said that deliberately. Master Cheng was so angry that his eyes turned red. He reached out and grabbed her throat, wanting to strangle her to death. Sister Hong suddenly said faintly, I was pregnant. When Zhong Futsai cheated on me, I accidentally miscarried. After that, I couldn't get pregnant again. Chapter 5193. Hearing Sister Hong's words, Master Cheng's whole person seemed to be deflated, and he didn't know what to do. He looked at Sister Hong and said after a while, why didn't you say so earlier? Also, how bad was your taste in the past? You found such a bastard to fool around with women everywhere and even brought them home to play. He's simply not a thing. In the corridor of the hospital, Sister Hong took out a cigarette and lit it up, smoking it quietly. Then, she looked at Master Cheng. You make it sound like you don't fool around with women. If you don't fool around, you should find a woman to marry and live an honest life. Why are you pestering me? Master Cheng laughed. It was a laugh, but he felt a little stifled in his heart. He went over and hugged Sister Hong, not doing anything. Hey, Sister Hong said. He didn't move, so she said, the cigarette burned a hole in your clothes. I have money. Master Cheng said in a rough voice. Don't move. I just want to comfort you right now. Who told you to not lay eggs? Thinking about this woman who couldn't even lay eggs with him, Master Cheng, made his heart feel stifled. All right. Sister Hong didn't say anything. She watched as the cigarette burned through Master Cheng's clothes. Then, Master Cheng let out a squeal like a pig being slaughtered. Woman, are you trying to kill me? There was even the smell of burning flesh in the air. Master Cheng had a lot of money to buy clothes, but this skin belonged to Master Cheng. Master Cheng was furious. He wanted to comfort this damn woman, but she actually burned a hole in his skin. Sister Hong continued to smoke, looking very charming. She even shook her head. Didn't you say that you don't mind? Master Cheng's eyes were practically red from anxiety. He approached her step by step and said in a rough voice, Go back with me. Where? Your villa. Sister Hong laughed. I'm not going. Looking at those women makes me feel a little disgusted. Master Cheng simply wanted to slap this woman to death. This woman was really shameless. If it was another woman who burned a hole in his body, he would definitely kill her. He didn't even bother with her, but she still dared to do this to him. This kind of request, that kind of request. Master Cheng lowered his voice. What do you want? Tell me the rules. I'm very busy and don't have time to waste with you. Go to my place or stay in a hotel. Sister Hong brushed her hair and said with a smile. Quite charming. Master Cheng's eyes lit up. He thought for a moment and said, Your place is too small. If I stay there, there won't be enough space for me to turn around. I'm not used to staying in a hotel. How about this? I'll get you a big villa and write your name on it. We'll stay there in the future. Master Cheng didn't think about where they would be staying and how long they would be staying. Neither did Sister Hong. In any case, they would just stay together. If they got tired of it, they would separate. She would have a news agency and a villa. Moreover, she was somewhat familiar with Cheng Zheng's temper. She was always able to provoke him to the edge of anger. He would be rough with her without hurting her. This kind of feeling was actually not bad, and it was quite interesting. Cheng. Master. Cheng. With to Su, he. With. He. Cheng. He was very generous to women. He was also very interested in reporter Liu. Therefore, he was really good to her. At least, he was willing to spend money. The villa was located in the best area of B City. A 120 million yuan villa was given away just like that. Chapter 5194. Memorize in a second. The villa was located in the best location in City B. A villa worth 120 million yuan was given away just like that. There were 12 rooms upstairs and downstairs, and all the expensive clothes were bought from Chanel and Gucci, filling up the wardrobe. Also, didn't women like bags? That Hermes bag was packed with all the different styles and colors. As long as Master Cheng's woman was happy, it was fine. She bought a set of gemstone jewelry of all colors and wore them in turn. He had spent hundreds of millions of yuan in one go. Even the newspaper agency had spent about 1 billion yuan, which was much more generous than what he had spent on Su Jian. Master Cheng claimed that he and Sister Hong were a married couple, so everything was done according to the standards of a married couple. Although it was a sudden impulse, he was still very excited. He even bought a pigeon's blood ruby and put it on Sister Hong's finger. It was very beautiful, and when paired with her slightly curly hair, he felt that this woman seemed to have become beautiful all of a sudden. The author really likes Master Cheng ~. Master Cheng even specially played a romantic song in the villa. He wasn't in a hurry and even invited a 5-star chef to make a delicious candlelit dinner. He even turned off the lights and danced on the carpet with Sister Hong. When a man who didn't lack money and a woman did all kinds of romantic things together, people would suspect that this was love. In short, Master Cheng felt very happy. This woman, reporter Liu, was very interesting. She was quite tactful. After receiving the money, the villa, and all these things, she was extremely docile towards him. However, she also knew what he liked, unlike those women who were like lackeys. How could she be a woman? She was as boring as his lackeys, who only knew how to curry favor with him. In the big villa, Master Cheng was extremely happy. He almost felt that he had met his true love. A week later, Master Cheng went out of the villa to take a look at his own property. As for those women in his big villa, they had long been forgotten by him. Sister Hong was also trapped in the villa for a week. She only got up and went to the bathroom after she sent that big Buddha away with great difficulty. She was a little surprised when she saw the woman in the mirror, whose complexion was obviously a few degrees whiter. It was obviously hard work, but why was she glowing? At the door, a servant asked her, "Madam, would you like to have breakfast or sleep a little longer?" The servants were hired by Cheng Zheng. Cheng Zheng liked to be ostentatious, so it was only the two of them staying for the time being. He hired 4 servants to serve them the entire day, and they were very noisy, so Sister Hong felt a little uncomfortable. Forcing himself to calm down, he said, "Make some breakfast. I'm going out in a bit." She really had to go to the news agency. If she didn't go, no one would care. Now that Cheng Zheng was sending her off, those people probably didn't know what the future of the news agency would be like, so they were sloppy with their work. Sister Hong had a special feeling for that newspaper office. She wouldn't let it fall, so she agreed to Cheng Zheng's request. After the servant agreed, Sister Hong washed her face and retied the white silk bathrobe before going downstairs. Cheng Zheng was quite a pervert. He liked her wearing this. As soon as he came back, he asked her to change into it, saying that she looked good in it. Sister Hong casually ate something, changed her clothes, and went to the news agency. Once she went, just as she expected, the news agency was indeed a little messy. Zhong Futsai was also powerless to manage it. Because of Cheng Zheng, Zhong Futsai didn't have much prestige in the news agency. Even cats and dogs could bully him, and the news agency's work was even more difficult. Chapter 5195. Sister Hong walked over in her high heels. Everyone was stunned by the radiance on her face. They thought she would be tortured by Master Cheng. Why did she look at least 5 years younger and more than 10 times prettier? What kind of elixir did she take? Even Sister Hong's hair was styled by a famous designer. In her hand was a fiery red pigeon egg with blood as thick as a finger. Dressed in Chanel, even the glamorous Du Meili paled in comparison to Sister Hong. She was extremely ordinary. This was the power of money. Don't say that Sister Hong is a gold digger. Sister Hong's values are very upright. All the women were quite envious and looked at her eagerly. Sister Hong threw the report in her hand and pointed out a few names. "You are the founding members of the Sun News Agency. If you don't want to work, get lost now. Haven't you been paid these days? Zhong Futsai is your chief editor. If he can't get you, can I?" No one dared to make a sound. In terms of prestige, Sister Hong was usually more ferocious than Zhong Futsai. Now that she was the boss, of course she spoke differently. But someone still raised a doubt. "Chief Editor Liu, we are afraid that the Sun News Agency will not be able to continue operating." Sister Hong sneered. "With good-for-nothings like you around, of course we have to close down. If you don't want to work now, stand aside. I will pay your salaries. But those who stay, do a good job. When I'm not around, Chief Editor Zhong can represent me. Do you understand?" At this moment, everyone knew that even though this ex-husband and wife had fought over Du Meili, they were still friends who had gone through life and death together. It was said that Chief Editor Zhong had knelt to Master Cheng to save Sister Hong. This kind of relationship had gone through life and death together. At that moment, no one stood up. After all, this was also a place they had worked hard for. Of course, they would believe Sister Hong's words. Seeing that they were silent, Sister Hong said calmly, "Since no one says they don't want to work, then make up for this week's missed work within 3 days. I don't care if you're drinking or having sex with people, as long as you get the advertisement back, I don't care. If you lose any sales, get lost. With this, the people below all thought that Du Meili was finished. This time, Sister Hong would definitely kill her, but unexpectedly, Sister Hong released Du Meili from the toilet and even let her lead the entertainment team. This was because Du Meili was good-looking and knew how to sacrifice herself when necessary. This was how it was in this line of work. If you were too pretentious, you wouldn't be able to survive. Du Meili was also surprised. Then, her eyes became a little misty. Managing editor, I will definitely bring back the entertainment industry's performance. I guarantee that it will increase by 20% within a month. I will make a military pledge. He threw away the broom he was using to clean the toilet with a determined look on his face. Sister Hong nodded. Chief Editor Du's attitude is very good. In the future, you will also be the representative of Society New. I have high hopes for you. This was a godly turn of events. Sister Hong used both carrot and stick. First, she punished them. Then, she got the finance department to give everyone this month's bonus. Everyone received an extra 5,000 yuan. Instantly, the morale of the news agency was greatly boosted. Zhong Futsai's heart was very complicated. When he was alone with Sister Hong in the office, he sighed and said, I tricked you. Even though he said that, he still looked at Sister Hong and wanted to say something. So, it wasn't that she wasn't beautiful, but that she had suffered a lot with him. That was why she was rough. Now, she really looked very different from before. Chapter 5196. Updated quickly, Zhong Futsai's heart was filled with an indescribable sense of inferiority and sadness. In the end, he just let out a long sigh. Sister Hong patted his shoulder. It's just temporary. It's not like I'll be with Cheng Zheng forever. As she spoke, she lit a cigarette and smoked quietly. Her appearance was really seductive. Zhong Futsai looked at her anxiously and asked, Are you happy when you're with him? Compared to when we're together, do you feel that it's a lot more refreshing? Sister Hong choked for a moment. She obviously didn't expect him to ask that. She coughed lightly. He's more handsome and richer than you. Do you think I'm happy? She pinched the cigarette and said to herself, Sometimes, money is a good thing. Just the pigeon blood in her hand was said to be worth more than 10 million. Cheng Zheng felt that it was beautiful and suitable for her, so he bought it without blinking. All women liked it, and Sister Hong didn't deny that she liked it too. However, she was very clear that she and Cheng Zheng had no future. They were just taking what they needed. He wanted her to accompany him because she was afraid that he would cause trouble. The Sun News Agency had such a big family waiting to be supported. How could she be willful? Besides, she didn't want to be sent to the hospital by him again. That kind of feeling wasn't very good. But speaking of happiness, it was still there. When Cheng Zheng wasn't angry, he was still very good at pleasing women. The main thing was that he had money. Money could buy a lot of happiness. Sister Hong didn't deny this. Sister Hong didn't want to talk too much about Cheng Zheng with Zhong Futsai. After a few casual words, she went to do her own things. She also had a lot of things to do. The unstarted cases were handed over to Du Meili. Didn't Du Meili want to make a fuss about Xixin? Give it to her, give it all to her. If she was so busy, she probably wouldn't have time to seduce men. It was already past noon when Sister Hong finished her work. She received a call from Cheng Zheng. He asked where she was, and she said she was at the news agency. Master Cheng complained and said that he would pick her up after work in the afternoon. Sister Hong didn't refuse because it was useless to refuse. She still knew Master Cheng's character. When it was time to get off work in the afternoon, Master Cheng came to pick them up. He drove an extremely flashy sports car. Fortunately, it was not open this time, or else Sister Hong would have scolded him. It was winter now. When Master Cheng arrived, he asked his female secretary to do a thorough investigation on how to woo a girl and what to do when picking her up. In the end, in order to please a girl, in addition to being nice to the girl, he also had to be nice to the people around the girl. At that time, Master Cheng was furious. He narrowed his eyes. His ex-husband's brother was still around. Other than treating his woman well, he still had to curry favor with his ex-husband. What kind of logic was this? So the secretary trembled and said that this was what the book said. In the end, Master Cheng took a bouquet of lilies and asked his subordinates to carry dozens of bags of milk tea and snacks as he swaggered over to curry favor. It was a grand scene. Sister Hong was both angry and amused at the same time. She asked her assistant to help her distribute the documents. She still had some things to do, so she continued to deal with them. Master Cheng was left hanging in the office. Master Cheng clenched his teeth, grinding his white teeth. Great, I came over like this and you still left me hanging. I didn't ask you to come over. You can't be expecting me to accompany you in the villa all day and do nothing, right? Then what's the difference between me and those women? Sister Hong said without raising her head. Master Cheng laughed. It was a very meaningful laugh. That, of course you're different. You're different in every aspect. How can they compare to you? These words were quite shameless. Chapter 5197. Usually, when Master Cheng said such shameless words, Sister Hong would ignore him. She continued to do her own things until Master Cheng stretched and walked to her side. He leaned against her and complained, "Are you done yet? Do you really think this is a serious job?" Sister Hong didn't even raise her head. Then tell me, what is a serious job? What is it? Master Cheng said shamelessly, "Of course it's to accompany me. What else?" He stuck close to Sister Hong proudly. He didn't feel it before, but now that he looked at this woman, he felt that she was quite beautiful. She was really beautiful, and her whole body was glowing. Master Cheng thought about it and felt even more proud. This was all thanks to him, like a magic trick. Master Cheng was proud of himself, but at the same time, he became a little unruly and started to touch her. Sister Hong finally raised her eyes and was willing to pay attention to him. "If you continue to do this, I will consider throwing you out." Master Cheng sighed. "Don't. I'm just playing with you, playing with you." Sister Hong continued to do her things. This went on for 2 hours. Master Cheng was very bored, but he really took out 12% of his patience to accompany her. This was something that Master Cheng would never have thought about in the past. He felt that Sister Hong should be satisfied. He, Master Cheng, was handsome, rich, healthy, and considerate to women. Where else could she find such a man? The kind of man that she, Liu Hong, would laugh in her dreams. After Sister Hong finished her work, she looked up at Master Cheng. Master Cheng's face was full of praise. That look made people feel angry, funny, and a little cute. Thus, she packed up her things and asked softly, "Where are we going to eat?" Master Cheng said the name of a big restaurant without thinking. It was quite expensive there, but Master Cheng didn't lack money. What he wanted was grandeur, and what he wanted was to make his woman happy. Sister Hong didn't say anything. She took her coat and walked out with Master Cheng. Master Cheng walked behind like a follower, and the way he worked without complaint shocked everyone. Master Cheng didn't feel ashamed and felt especially honored. However, Sister Hong felt that he was embarrassing and dragged him away. As soon as he left, the news agency was immediately filled with discussions. "Gosh, is that Master Cheng? He's like a loyal dog. He's even more obedient when he's following Sister Hong. Yes, he seems to be a little afraid of Sister Hong." When Sister Hong's face turned serious, he stopped talking. "Previously, I thought he was just messing around. Who knew that he would really stay for a few hours? Could it be that Sister Hong is his true love? Now that I look at her, I feel that she is so beautiful." Someone nodded. "It's entirely possible. I think they might get married. You really know how to talk. If you know how to talk, talk more." Downstairs, Sister Hong got into Master Cheng's car. Master Cheng personally closed the door for her while he sat in the car. "Are we on a date?" Sister Hong smiled. "If you say so." Master Cheng, on the other hand, was not very willing. "Look at you. You don't even smile. Is it embarrassing to go on a date with me? Or do you actually like to eat with pretty boys or dead fatties? Last time I saw you with fatties, you were quite happy. Sister Hong took a cigarette and lit it. If you continue, I'll get out. Master Cheng immediately put out the cigarette in her hand. Women, why do you smoke? Then he said, can't I stop talking? Chapter 5198. He was actually jealous. There would always be some men who cared about a woman's ex. Thinking of this, Master Cheng suggested, why don't we just give Zhong Fucai a few million and let him go home? He can go wherever he wants, so he doesn't have to hang around in front of me all the time. Sister Hong lit another cigarette and gently smoked it. He's an old employee of the newspaper company. Without him, we can't hang around here. Don't have any ideas about him. He and I are just friends. Master Cheng drove the car and shouted unwillingly, what about me? I'm your adulterer, right? Sister Hong smiled and raised her head slightly. What else can I do, Cheng Zheng? Don't tell me you want to be with me forever. Master Cheng was stumped by her. He didn't say anything for a long time. After a long time, he said in a muffled voice, actually, I didn't say anything. If you want to keep it, then keep it. Anyway, it's a damn fatty. I don't believe you can eat it. Sister Hong frowned. Cheng Zheng, don't be so mean. You keep calling him fatty. Isn't he fat? Master Cheng said and laughed. He asked a little lewdly, my figure is good, right? I've trained before. My whole body is muscular. Sister Hong couldn't stand it anymore. Su Jian is infatuated with you. Master Cheng touched his head. You're right. But I haven't seen that little slut for a long time. Sister Hong said unhurriedly, after dinner, go back and see your babies. Master Cheng suddenly felt his hair stand up. He smiled dryly. How can I? I've long forgotten about them. They can't be compared to you. Sister Hong just smiled. He thought she was a fool. He kept a big villa to raise a bunch of women, and he still talked about loyalty with her. Actually, she knew that Master Cheng went back 2 days ago. She didn't know if anything happened between him and his babies. In fact, she didn't care too much. If he didn't say anything, she would pretend she didn't know. It wasn't like they would be together forever. At the mention of women, Master Cheng actually felt a little guilty and didn't say anything. When it was time to eat, Grandpa Cheng lit a cigar and puffed out a ring of smoke. Then, he said unhappily, I went back to the villa to do something, not to look for women. Documents. Do you think I just sit around and collect money all day long? I have to work too. I went back to get the documents. I swear I didn't touch a single hair on those women. Sister Hong didn't say anything and just poured a cup of tea for him. Master Cheng immediately beamed with joy. You're quite smart. A big reporter is indeed a big reporter. You've seen the world. Sister Hong smiled. Is that so? She did not ask any further, and Master Cheng felt relieved. Sister Hong was quite magnanimous. This was good too. He admired magnanimous women. Master Cheng got along well with Sister Hong. He was not rough with her and was a very affectionate person. Just like how he often praised himself, he was indeed not bad. Sister Hong also felt that there was nothing wrong with it. The two of them ate quietly. Suddenly, Master Cheng asked softly, how old are you? Sister Hong was stunned. Why are you asking this? Master Cheng said gruffly, I'm just asking you. I'm not going to marry you. Sister Hong said that she was 35. Master Cheng's eyes widened. After a long time, he said unhappily, you're older than me by 3 years. It's not like we're getting married. Why do you care so much? If you don't want to go back, then scram back to your big villa. Sister Hong wasn't very polite to him. Master Cheng was a little hurt. Woman, other women can't wait to suck up to me. Look at you, you don't even have a single good word to say. Chapter 5199. Sister Hong didn't say anything and took out another cigarette. Master Cheng reached out and pinched it for her. Didn't I say that I'm not allowed to smoke? Sister Hong glanced at him and smiled faintly. Why do you care? Master Cheng was a little angry. No, I'm talking about you. I'm doing this for your own good. Why are you so unreasonable? What if I told you not to smoke cigars? Sister Hong glanced at him and said as she took a puff of the cigarette. Master Cheng rubbed his head and felt uncomfortable. After a while, he suddenly smiled and came over. You care about me? Sister Hong couldn't stand him anymore. Who cares about you? There are many women who care about you. Master Cheng was quite proud. You're jealous again. Don't just be jealous. Eat the food. He was very attentive, but Sister Hong was full. She shook her head and said, I'm full. Master Cheng specially went to check on her. When he found that she was really full, he was a little proud. He swiped his card and paid the bill. When he left, he received a call saying that something had happened at the club. It was a big deal and Master Cheng had to deal with it personally. Master Cheng sat in the $10 million sports car and frowned. I'm on a date. What's the big deal? The other side said something again. Master Cheng nodded calmly. Calm the situation down. I'll be there soon. If you can't, I'll skin you alive. The other side nodded like a lackey. Master Cheng, hurry up. Master Cheng hung up and put on a relaxed face. I'll send you back first. Sister Hong sat in the car and played with her nails. Don't you have something to do? Won't it be a waste of time if you send me back? Master Cheng was helpless. That kind of situation won't be good. You're a woman, so don't go. What haven't I seen? Sister Hong moved closer to him. It was rare for her to be so close to him. Besides, I haven't been to your club. This is the biggest one, right? Master Cheng was happy when he heard that. He reached out and pinched her cheek. Okay, I'll let you go and broaden your horizons. Master Cheng stepped on the accelerator and drove towards the clubhouse. The scene was a little big, and there was no one outside for a few hundred meters. Some strange noises came from inside the club. Master Cheng stopped the car, rolled down the window, and called over a dozen people to protect his woman. He straightened his clothes and got out of the car. He didn't look like he was going to risk his life. He looked like he was going to pick up a girl. Sister Hong called out to him in the car, Cheng Zheng. Master Cheng turned his head and said gruffly, Don't get out of the car. If you don't listen to me, I'll teach you a lesson tonight. Sister Hong's voice was calm. Be careful. In an instant, the old man's eyes turned red. He felt that he was being too unsightly in front of his subordinates, so he snorted softly, Don't give me that. I won't fall for it. Get back to the car. How can I do anything if I'm upset? After saying that, he strode into the clubhouse. As he said, the scene was a little big, but no matter how big it was, Master Cheng could handle it, even though he was a little injured. He was fine, but when he came out, his arms were stained with blood. It's settled. That bastard admitted defeat. Master Cheng grinned. He leaned against the car and took a puff of a big cigar. He winked at Sister Hong. The blood on his arms was still dripping down. It was a frightening sight. The Master Cheng that Sister Hong knew had always been a spendthrift Master Cheng. However, what she saw tonight was the true portrayal of him. He licked blood on the edge of a knife, and getting injured was a common thing. Chapter 5200. She also realized that there were old scars all over his body, but he just didn't seem to care. Sister Hong thought about it and for some reason, she got angry and got out of the car with a cold expression. She got out of the car and walked over to Master Cheng. Master Cheng was still smiling. Did you miss me so much after not seeing me for a while? Smack, smack. Sister Hong slapped him twice. Master Cheng was dumbfounded from the beating. No, what's wrong with you, woman? Master Cheng roared and wanted to slap her back. But seeing the expression on Sister Hong's face and his subordinates watching, he knew that if he slapped her, she would probably ignore him again. Forget it, he wasn't afraid, he just wanted to give in to a woman. Didn't he say that a man should be extremely tolerant towards a woman? Let's just treat it as Master Cheng showing his kindness today. Hence, under the eyes of his subordinates, Master Cheng not only didn't hit her, he even smiled. Hitting is a sign of affection, scolding is a sign of love. I know you feel sorry for me. Sister Hong swore. Feel sorry for your mother. Master Cheng frowned. She's already underground. Sister Hong's eyes were still red as she stared at him. After a long time, she said, "Cheng Jing, you are a jerk." "Fine, fine, fine, I am a jerk. Didn't you also hit a jerk to vent your anger? What else is there to be dissatisfied about, huh?" Master Cheng said with a good temper. He pulled Sister Hong into the car. "Go back and bandage my wound. If you continue to mess around like this, your man might bleed to death." Sister Hong's eyes turned red and she didn't say a word. Master Cheng got into the car. His arm wasn't bleeding, but he didn't think much of it. Sister Hong got even angrier. This man, Master Cheng, came over. "A man looks more manly when he's injured. Smell it, don't you think I smell manly?" The subordinates in the car couldn't take it anymore. Their boss was too coquettish. At this moment, Sister Hong was pressed into his arms and smelled his manly scent. Sister Hong only smelled blood and then, she wanted to vomit. Master Cheng's face darkened. The subordinates were stunned. It turned out that their Master Cheng was the one being despised. Looking at Master Cheng's expression, would this be his future sister-in-law? While his subordinates were lost in their thoughts, Master Cheng was angry at first, but then he grinned. He reached out and touched Sister Hong. "Are you pregnant?" As soon as he finished speaking, he realized that he had said the wrong thing. Sister Hong could no longer give birth. No matter how capable he was, he couldn't make her pregnant. Master Cheng's lofty sentiments disappeared in an instant. In the end, he could only sigh and say nothing. The atmosphere was a little confusing. His subordinates were confused. Why was he unhappy again? Sister Hong didn't seem to mind. "Why aren't you talking? Weren't you very capable just now?" Master Cheng was feeling upset. Then, he cursed, "What am I capable of? What's the use of me being capable?" Sister Hong understood the moment she heard that, so she didn't say anything else. They were officially in a cold war. When they returned to the villa, Dr. Gao came to treat Master Cheng's wound. Master Cheng took off his shirt, revealing his strong muscles. He didn't mind and didn't use any anesthetic. He just let Dr. Gao treat his wound while he stared at the woman at the bar counter with bloodshot eyes. His snow-white teeth were grinding. Great, she was really heartless. He was so seriously injured and she still had the mood to drink. That expression made him want to kill her. Chapter 5201. 1 Second to Remember. Dr. Gao looked at him and smiled. An injured person should not get angry. Also, don't drink or smoke. This injury will take at least half a month to recover. Master Cheng's gaze fell on the bandage, and he did not seem to care. Then he looked at Sister Hong, and his eyes looked like they were on fire. Dr. Gao coughed. "You need to pay attention to other aspects as well." Master Cheng was unhappy. He grumbled loudly so that Sister Hong could hear him. "You need to pay attention to this and that. Are you trying to kill me?" Dr. Gao suppressed his laughter and decided not to interfere with their business. He packed his things and said, "Then I'll come back tomorrow to change the bandage." "Master Cheng, don't drink alcohol." "I know. You're so annoying. Get lost." Master Cheng had always been rude. Dr. Gao suppressed his laughter and said meaningfully, "Be careful of the wound." Master Cheng scolded him again until he left. Only then did he feel a little more at peace. He wanted to drink, but Dr. Gao's words made sense. He walked over and kicked Sister Hong's chair. "Hey, I can't drink. You're doing this on purpose, aren't you?" Sister Hong looked at him faintly and ignored him. She stopped drinking and started smoking instead. Master Cheng was very angry. He glared at her fiercely. "I say, can't you, a woman, stop for a moment?" He sat beside her and smoked her cigarette. "Don't smoke in front of me again." Sister Hong ignored him and took out another cigarette. Master Cheng was so angry that he wanted to hit her. "You're doing this on purpose, aren't you? Liu Hong, do you think I can't deal with you? Why don't you try? If you smoke again, I'll cut you." This time, Sister Hong was willing to talk to him. She said softly, "Can't I smoke a few cigarettes if I'm feeling uncomfortable?" All of a sudden, Master Cheng was like a deflated balloon. He said gloomily, What's wrong with you? I've raised you to the same level as the Empress. If you're still uncomfortable, how do you expect other women to live? Sister Hong didn't say anything and flipped her hair. Master Cheng's voice was gloomy again. Didn't I just say something wrong? Why do you have to treat me so coldly? No woman dares to treat me like this. As she spoke, she hugged Sister Hong's waist and rested her chin on her shoulder. Acting coquettishly, praising, all sorts of bottomless things. The group of subordinates were all stunned. They simply couldn't open their eyes to look at him. Was this still their awe-inspiring Master Cheng? His gentleness had directly softened their bones. Master Cheng chased them away, and then he acted coquettishly and complimented her before he finally managed to coax Sister Hong. After that, he had long forgotten all about Dr. Gao's rules. It was fine even if he did not smoke or drink, but he still had to be happy for a while. He, Master Cheng, had waited for a while, so how could he be disappointed? After today's torment, Master Cheng felt that he and Sister Hong had become even more affectionate. However, he did not expect Sister Hong to give him such a huge surprise the next day. The next morning, Sister Hong got up and prepared to go to work. Master Cheng pulled her back and said in a rough voice, "Don't you have enough money to spend? What kind of work do you want to go to?" Sister Hong bit her lower lip. "You're so annoying. Be careful of the injury on your hand." Master Cheng didn't care. This small injury is nothing. Then, he gritted his teeth. "I say, you're really a woman. Can't you just stay at home and accompany me?" He punished her unhappily and followed her all the way to the bathroom, looking like he was unwilling to let go of her. Chapter 5202. Updated quickly, Sister Hong couldn't do anything about this huge baby. In the end, she comforted him a few times before leaving for the news agency. When he arrived, he wrote an article that directly pointed out what happened last night. Although it was a little vague, it was first-hand information. Other people didn't know the reason behind it, so they wouldn't dare to insinuate that Master Cheng was involved in it. In the afternoon, the newspaper was published. Master Cheng was originally in a good mood in the villa. However, when his underling brought him a copy of the newspaper, he couldn't smile anymore. He threw the newspaper on the floor with a cold expression. His subordinate went to pick it up, but Godfather Cheng gave him a kick. "This woman, why is she so black-hearted? Am I not good enough to her? I've given my all to raise her into an empress. How is she going to repay me?" Master Cheng was furious. This was how this woman repaid him. She was happy that he was written as a supervillain. Did she feel wronged by being by his side? That's right, a big reporter had given herself to a man like this. She felt wronged, haha. Just like that, the great reporter Liu moved his pen and it was sold out in an instant. Master Cheng sneered and took the clothes. His underling asked carefully, "Master Cheng, where are you going?" Master Cheng sneered again. "Home." Master Cheng left. Other than the old nanny, he brought all his underlings with him. He even put on a show of packing up his luggage, rolled up his bedding, and acted as if he was going to leave. In the car, Master Cheng was still angry. This woman didn't even give him a call. Did she really think that he was dead? She probably didn't care at all. In her heart, he was just a boorish man. Even a damn fatty couldn't compare to him. To think that he had settled the matter so quickly yesterday. He was even tricked by her because he was worried that she was outside. Bastard, he wasn't going to serve her anymore. Master Cheng was extremely angry and wanted to go back to the villa. The underling reminded him with a trembling voice, "Master, if sister-in-law finds out about this, it will be terrible." Sister-in-law my ass. She doesn't care about me at all. Master Cheng was furious. He said uncomfortably, "If she cared about me at all, would she treat me like this?" Hands drooping head. Master Cheng was excited. This woman has a heart of stone. If I was in her heart, she wouldn't have done this. The more he thought about it, the angrier he became. He simply wanted to catch that woman and kill her to appease his anger. Master Cheng said gruffly, "Drive." The underling didn't dare to make another sound. Master Cheng's car drove to the big villa he used to live in. It was no exaggeration to say that the women here missed him to death. They were afraid that he wouldn't want them anymore, especially Su Jian, who waited for Master Cheng to return every day. She hated that old woman, Sister Hong, to death. Once Master Cheng came back, the women here acted like they were celebrating the new year. Master Cheng sat on the leather sofa and enjoyed the service of the women. He was extremely happy and felt that this was life. What was he plotting? Was he plotting for that woman to not give him a good look every day? He lusted after her. Just like that, he would grab a handful of her with his eyes closed. Master Cheng closed his eyes and didn't want to think about that woman. However, that bastard's face kept floating in his mind. Even the perfume on those women made him impatient. Go to the side. I'm annoyed. Su Jian knew what he was thinking. Looking at his unhappy face, he must have quarreled with that woman. That was why he came back. He even brought his luggage. Chapter 5203. Hence, she acted coquettishly and complimented him. After saying all the good things, Master Cheng pinched her cheeks. You're the sensible one. But no matter what, Master Cheng was staying in a room by himself. He seemed to have the intention of cultivating his character. This was simply shocking. When Master Cheng announced this decision, all the women were stunned. Was this still Master Cheng? Master Cheng coughed lightly. I'm injured, so it's decided. Are you all ignorant? If you don't know anything, get out of here immediately. I think it's a waste of rice to feed you all. No one dared to speak. They felt wronged. Master Cheng had not returned for more than 10 days. Su Jian gritted her teeth. Did Master Cheng fall in love with that woman? How much did he love her? A man like Master Cheng was actually playing the game of keeping his chastity. He was putting on a show for that woman to coax him. She wanted to see how that woman was going to coax Master Cheng. At this moment, didn't a phone call come? When Master Cheng picked up the phone, his face was full of impatience. Reporter Liu, you're so busy every day. How can you still think of me and call me? I'm telling you, I don't have time. When Sister Hong came back from work, the servants at home told her that Sir had left with his luggage. He even brought his subordinates with him. It was as if he was not going to come back. He even lost his temper. It was so scary. Sister Hong's call was met with Master Cheng's sarcasm. Hence, she asked him indifferently, are you at the place you used to live? Master Cheng smelled the perfume and looked at the women around him. He actually felt a little guilty. But he was Master Cheng. What was he afraid of? Wasn't it just a woman? He was right here. What could she do to him? Master Cheng chuckled. Yes, I'm back. There are many beauties around me. Reporter, are you jealous? Sister Hong's voice became softer. Cheng Jing, are you sure you want to do this? We've agreed on this before. Agreed, my ass. I've dug my heart out for you. How are you treating me? Master Cheng scolded. Sister Hong was silent for a moment. Then, she said softly, all right, I understand. The moment her voice became soft, Master Cheng felt a little proud in his heart. This woman was going to give in, wasn't she going to coax him? But the next second, he couldn't smile anymore. Sister Hong had hung up the phone. Godfather Cheng stared at the phone for a few seconds before smashing it into pieces. This woman really can't be spoiled. She wants to go to the heavens. She treated me so badly and yet she still hung up on me. He paced back and forth, wishing he could grab a woman and let her see if he, Master Cheng, was a coward and if he dared to do anything to another woman. But thinking was just thinking. Master Cheng still didn't dare to. Yes, he was a coward. After a while, he put his hands on his waist and said, go and find out what that woman is doing. Fuck, if she doesn't get spanked for 3 days, her skin will itch. I'm willing to let her have her way. Her menopause is coming. His subordinates were overjoyed, and the women were so jealous that they were unrecognizable. After a while, the subordinate carefully moved to Master Cheng's face and said even more cautiously, Master, it's bad. Sister-in-law wants, what can she do? To look for a gigolo? Master Cheng gritted his teeth. His subordinate's voice trembled even more. Sister-in-law is going to sell the villa under her name. When Master Cheng heard that, his heart and lungs were about to explode. That woman was really cruel. She actually wanted to sell their love nest. I ate expired nuts last night. I'm going out today. I might be able to update tomorrow night .. Chapter 5204. Master Cheng was really angry. Why was that woman squinting at him? He had only been out for half a day and she wanted to sell their house. Did she really not have any feelings for him at all? Master Cheng gritted his teeth and sneered, if she wants to sell, then sell. It's best if she sells. Then she can leave peacefully. Don't send me off, I'm not going to serve you anymore. What's so good about that old woman? Her temper isn't very good, she's smelly and stubborn, and her looks are just so. That little bit of good looks and that little bit of liveliness was given to her by Master Cheng. Isn't it just that after following me, she looks somewhat radiant? In the past, she was fucking useless. He didn't even want her if she was given to him. Master Cheng spoke for a long time, but his subordinates didn't dare to make a sound. In their hearts, their sister-in-law was already their sister-in-law, and she was quite powerful. She was the first person who could live well after being locked in the same room with the hot-tempered Master Cheng. They were a little afraid of Sister Hong, even more so than they were afraid of Master Cheng. Sister Hong only needed to give them a look. Master Cheng needed to shout and scold them to control the situation. Most importantly, Master Cheng was afraid of Sister Hong, even if he didn't admit it. After Master Cheng finished shouting, he snorted, "I can't live without her." His subordinates didn't say anything, and Master Cheng was furious. "Are you all mute? Are you all afraid of her? She can still hit you all, and she still won't give you any money. Aren't you all just a woman?" His subordinates still didn't speak. Master Cheng was furious and asked someone to bring his luggage, tidy up a room. "I want to sleep. Today is an unlucky day." Only then did his subordinate ask with a trembling voice, "Then do you want a girl to accompany you?" "Accompany my ass." Master Cheng's eyeballs were about to pop out. "Can't you see that I'm in a bad mood? I'm also injured. Can I even get close to a woman? Do you all want me to die?" His subordinates collectively emmm. The women, on the other hand, were all sad. So many of them added up couldn't even compare to an old woman. It was obvious that Master Cheng wasn't interested in them. Seeing them like this, Master Cheng disliked them even more. He went straight back to his room to smoke his big cigar. Really, women aren't as interesting as big cigars. Master Cheng sat in his own private suite, his feet on the coffee table in front of the sofa, smoking as he thought. He was really depressed in his heart. That woman was really too hateful. She was clearly the one who had done something wrong to him, but she didn't ask him to stay. Instead, she acted so righteously. Master Cheng had made up his mind to take down Shorel. In fact, he didn't have much interest in other women. He had seen many women and played with them. Wasn't it just a pair of arms and legs? There were plenty of them with his eyes closed. What was so special about it? He narrowed his eyes. He really liked that old and average-looking woman. Recently, because of her, he didn't even think about Su Mu. That heartless old thing. Master Cheng was annoyed. He switched the TV channel after channel, but he still couldn't find the one he wanted to watch. He simply turned it off and focused on smoking his big cigar. At the door, a slender white hand stretched out, followed by Su Jian's small face. She was quite conservative today. She wore a branded suit and dressed like a mature professional woman. If it was in the past, Master Cheng would definitely find it interesting. But today, he said with disdain, "If you don't have the temperament, then don't pretend. You're making a joke of yourself." Chapter 5205. 1 second to remember. Su Jian was unhappy. She bit her lip and said, "Master Cheng, do you not want me anymore?" Master Cheng forced a smile and said, "Why would I not want you? Come, baby, come and give me a hug. Hee. I have plenty of women. There are plenty of women who throw themselves at me, and there are plenty who are prettier and younger than Liu Hong. What does he want from her? Why does he have to follow behind her and eat shit? Master Cheng felt very uncomfortable. He narrowed his eyes and then hummed softly, actually, there's nothing good about her. Su Jian clearly knew who Master Cheng was talking about, but she just pretended not to know. Who made our Master Cheng angry? I'll coax Master Cheng, okay? Master Cheng was actually quite fond of women and he enjoyed it. Then coax me and see if I like it. Su Jian acted coquettishly and complimented him. Indeed, she managed to make Grandfather Cheng happy. He even played a little game with her, drinking wine and smoking cigars. Su Jian saw that it was about time and wanted to take Master Cheng down. Master Cheng suddenly became reserved and leaned on the sofa. Can't you see that my arm is injured? Do you want me to die? Su Jian whispered a few words in his ear. Master Cheng hesitated a few times, not because he wanted her to be young and beautiful, but because he wanted to give Sister Hong a taste of her strength. Thus, they really turned the act into reality. After that, Master Cheng ran away. He sat on the balcony and smoked for a long time. Early in the morning, he suddenly drove to the villa that he and Sister Hong lived in. Sister Hong was moving things and was about to leave with her luggage. Master Cheng was instantly angry. He went up and snatched her luggage. He said in a rough voice, "Woman, how can you leave like this? What do you take me for?" Sister Hong stared at him. Master Cheng subconsciously touched his neck and said uncomfortably, "A mosquito bite." Sister Hong sneered. "Cheng Jing, what do you take me for? What do you take me for? An insignificant woman is fine, but no matter what, I'm still a man of my word. Since you don't want to continue living and roll around with another woman, just tell me and I'll still leave. It won't affect Master Cheng's happiness. You're so sensible, shouldn't you applaud me? Shouldn't you feel lucky?" Master Cheng's throat was stuck. He knew that he was in the wrong, but he still put on a fierce expression. "You are my woman. Where did you run off to? You were the one who wronged me first. If you didn't write nonsense, would I be able to run? Did I mention you, Cheng Zheng? Aren't those things you've done true?" Sister Hong threw the suitcase in her hand onto the ground, and it hit Master Cheng's foot. Master Cheng was in so much pain that he wanted to slap her to death, but he didn't have the courage. Sister Hong snorted, "Cheng Jing, that little vixen Su Jian made you very happy, right?" Master Cheng's face turned red. "How did you know?" Sister Hong couldn't be bothered with him. She picked up her things and said, "We're done. There's nothing more to say. Cheng Jing, you're not a man." She stuffed the luggage into the trunk. Pausing for a moment, she said softly, "I've sold this place. Master Cheng, you won't fight with me for this house, right?" "Sold." Master Cheng's temples were throbbing with pain. He suddenly roared out, "Woman, do you even have a heart? Have you ever thought about me? Or are you only looking at my money and how good I am to you?" Sister Hong laughed coldly. "Do you think I'm a scum?" With that said, she wanted to get into the car. Master Cheng grabbed her arm. "Speak clearly." Chapter 5206. Sister Hong looked at him and said word by word, "I've made it very clear. Let go." Master Cheng really wanted to force her to stay like before, but he was a little timid. He was the one who promised that there would be no other woman when they were together. After he and Su Jian did it, this woman went crazy. Suddenly, he was secretly delighted. "Are you jealous?" "I'm jealous of your mother." Sister Hong cursed, opened the car door and drove away. Master Cheng was left in a mess in the wind. He smoked a big cigar and kicked his car door fiercely. Then, he said to his subordinates in a rough voice, "Go and find out which bastard bought this villa. Buy it for double the price." Then, he flew into a rage. This woman, didn't she just hug an insignificant woman? It's not like she hasn't done it before. Why is she so crazy? Grandpa Cheng was infuriated, but Sister Hong ignored him. Sister Hong scolded as she drove, "This bastard." As she drove, she began to cry. Bastard. She almost thought that it was true love. That motherfucker Cheng was a bastard who couldn't live without women in a day. This wasn't the first time he went back to the villa. At that time, nothing happened. She pretended that she didn't know. This time, he and Su Jian were in trouble. Sister Hong simply couldn't tolerate it. She sold the villa and went their separate ways. After that, for a long period of time, Master Cheng harassed her in all sorts of ways and suppressed the news agency. He almost went to her house and set it on fire. However, Sister Hong endured it and ignored him. She used the money from selling the villa to buy a high-class villa and saved the rest. At night, Sister Hong sat at the bar and gently swirled the wine glass. She listened to sad music while drinking red wine. She was living a much better life than before. However, there was no meaning in one less person. She would never admit that she liked that bastard. Definitely not. But no matter what, there was still some light in the corner of her eyes. The phone on the counter rang. She reached out and picked it up, her voice indifferent. Cheng Zheng, don't call me anymore. It's impossible for us to be together. You should give up. If you're a man, stop harassing me. Master Cheng's voice was hoarse. I've already chased Su Jian away. I've chased all the other women away. Are you satisfied? Liu Hong, you're the most troublesome woman I've ever met. You don't have to see me in the future. Sister Hong hung up the phone. Raising her head, she still felt like crying. This bastard, they had only been together for a few days, and he had already cheated on her. No, he had openly cheated on her. How was he any different from that bastard, Zhong Fucai, in the past? Zhong Fucai knew that he was in the wrong, but this bastard deserved it. However, neither of them belonged to the other, so there was no need for her to be angry. Sister Hong continued to drink and smoke. Her fingers held a long and thin cigarette between her fingers as she puffed out the smoke. At this moment, a violent knocking sound came from the door. Sister Hong could guess who it was even if she used her toes to think. She had to open the door, because that bastard could definitely make the entire building restless. Sister Hong opened the door. Indeed, it was Master Cheng standing outside. He held onto the door frame very handsomely. When he saw that Sister Hong had opened the door, he grinned. Did you miss me? If you have anything to say, hurry up and say it. Sister Hong let go of the door and walked back to the bar. Chapter 5207. Master Cheng closed the door and entered quietly. Then, he looked at Sister Hong. Sister Hong stared at him with a hint of redness in her eyes. Master Cheng grinned and smiled. You seem to be doing well. It seems like you don't miss me at all. Sister Hong continued to smoke her cigarette. Master Cheng snatched the cigarette from her hand and smoked it himself. Although it was a lady's cigarette, Master Cheng still smoked it domineeringly. Sister Hong stared at him. Master Cheng's eyes turned red and he said in a low voice, "Should I move here or should we move back?" "What do you mean?" Sister Hong looked at the night view outside and said slowly. Master Cheng chuckled and pulled her over. Sister Hong didn't refuse. After a long time, it was probably midnight. Master Cheng got up and tiptoed to the kitchen to make noodles. His mother was starving. Master Cheng had lived alone since he was young. He had all kinds of skills, but he didn't do it often after he became rich. He made 2 bowls of noodles unskillfully and was about to bring them to the dining room. He was like a fish in water here. In any case, he felt that Liu Hong's things were his and her house was his. Just as he turned around, he saw Sister Hong standing behind him. He was shocked. Master Cheng placed the noodles on the dining table and said happily, "Let's eat some noodles and we'll take it as we've reconciled." After being a loving couple, he felt that there was no problem. Men always thought from a different perspective. Sister Hong flipped her hair and sat opposite him in silk pajamas. Master Cheng was dazzled and then felt a little proud. This woman became so beautiful because of him. It's all my goddamn hard work. However, Sister Hong didn't buy it. Her expression was indifferent and she wanted to smoke. Master Cheng took the cigarette out of her hand. "Do you want to die? Smoking in the middle of the night." He pushed a bowl of noodles in front of her. "Eat it. It's rare for me to serve a woman." Sister Hong took a bite and the taste was actually not bad. She didn't say anything else and continued to eat. Master Cheng looked at her and then with a fawning expression, he wanted to praise her. The taste is not bad, right? I haven't cooked for many years. So feel honored, you're the first woman to taste my cooking. However, Sister Hong didn't buy it. After finishing her noodles, she chased him away. Alright, you can leave now that you're full. Master Cheng continued to be affectionate. At this time, he still did not take it seriously. Are you really willing to drive me away? Sister Hong didn't say anything. She just took out her notebook and started to work. She had always been a night owl. In the past, when Master Cheng lived with her, he would often scold her in the middle of the night. Later on, she restrained herself a little. But now that they weren't together, she was acting like this again. Master Cheng reached out and closed her notebook. He was just short of smashing it. Woman, are you crazy? What time is it now? You're still working? Sister Hong faintly said, why can't I work? Go to sleep. Master Cheng said gruffly. Sister Hong smiled and said, Cheng Zheng, can you leave now? What do you mean? Master Cheng could tell that she was serious. He squinted his eyes and said, didn't we reconcile just now? Sister Hong said nonchalantly, anyway, there has to be a man. It just so happens that you're here today. That's it. Master Cheng asked in disbelief, if it was another man who fucked him today, would you still be able to do that with him? Of course. Sister Hong sneered. Otherwise, do you think I'm like you, talking like farting? Chapter 5208. Updated quickly, Master Cheng was about to explode. You woman. If it was in the past, he would have hit her or left. But now, he didn't want to leave at all and wanted to stay. But how could Sister Hong allow him to stay? She glared at him. Are you waiting for me to call security? Master Cheng was furious. Which woman dared to treat him like this? She must have eaten a bear's heart and a leopard's gall. He roared, all right, you scumbag. You're chasing me away after eating, aren't you? Am I the delicacy that I delivered to you? You're having a good time eating, aren't you? Not really, the taste is very average. Sister Hong said coldly, and Cheng Zheng, don't come again. Maybe you'll see a man around and it won't be a good scene. Master Cheng's eyes turned red. Fuck, this woman wants to bring a gigolo back. He grabbed Sister Hong's wrist and grinded his white teeth as he narrowed his eyes. Fine, you're using my money to support a gigolo. Liu Hong, tell me, have you been cheating on me these past few days? So what if I have? Sister Hong retorted without fear. Just as she finished speaking, Master Cheng slapped her across the face. After slapping her, he was a little stunned himself. He didn't do it on purpose, he was just angry. He waited for this fierce woman to slap him again, or even 2 slaps, as long as she didn't go crazy. However, she wasn't done looking for a man. He still had to settle the score with her. Master Cheng was waiting for her to slap him. Come, I won't fight back. But after waiting for a long time, Sister Hong didn't do anything. Master Cheng panicked. Master Cheng was dumbfounded. He said slowly, does your face still hurt? He reached out and wanted to touch her face, but Sister Hong didn't let him. She only said calmly, Cheng Zheng, do you know how much of a jerk you are? He held back his anger and said gently, you shouldn't have provoked me. What about you? When you were with Su Jian, did you think that I wanted to slap you too? Sister Hong's voice sounded a little tired. Cheng Zheng, we're all adults now. It's meaningless to play these childish games. Master Cheng appeared somewhat dejected as he whispered, just this once. I realized that Zhong Futsai was the same. After a big fight, there was no future, divorce, move. Cheng Zheng, history is always shockingly similar. I can't say that we need loyalty, but we need to have integrity. You agreed to my suggestion, but you always think that you're the boss since you're the one paying. You can do whatever you want. Anyway, you just have to spend money to coax them. But let me tell you, I have enough money, I don't need it anymore. Master Cheng suddenly laughed. I finally know who you are, great reporter Liu. Now that you have the money, if you want to leave me, you can just say it. Who can't live without each other? I've underestimated you today. You've never fucking cared about me, have you? Yeah, so what? Are you going to slap me again? Sister Hong coldly said. Master Cheng was so angry that he went back to the bedroom to change his clothes and flung the door open. This woman was too unreasonable. He didn't care if he didn't serve them anymore. But the moment he stepped out, the cold wind blew and Master Cheng regretted it. Fuck, he had done so much for her and was chased out just like that. Wasn't he too useless? Master Cheng was a little indignant and wanted to knock on the door. But after thinking about it, he gave up. Wasn't it just a woman? What was there for Master Cheng to miss? Chapter 5209. Master Cheng went downstairs. His underling was still waiting downstairs. When he saw Master Cheng coming out, his underling eagerly went up to him. Master. That's it. Master Cheng glared at him and got into the car. He closed his eyes and rested for a while. To the clubhouse. He was just squinting at a woman. What was there to reminisce about? She had 2 hands and 2 legs. How could he not find her? Other women were more obedient than her. Why did he have to go through all that trouble? He put his face in front of her and let her slap him. She didn't even give him face. How much did she dislike him? Well, he had spent a few $100 million, and he, Master Cheng, had served her wholeheartedly for so many days. In any case, he should at least have some sex. She was really heartless. Today, she had completely treated him like a pretty boy who didn't want money. He squinted. How could those gigolos compare to him? Were they as manly as Master Cheng? Were their bodies as good as Master Cheng's? What made him squint was that he cared about the men she had in the past and the countless men she might have in the future. Just thinking about it made Master Cheng's heart ache. However, what did it have to do with him that she wanted to look for a man? Master Cheng had thought it through. All right, since she said to split up, then let's split up. I don't care anymore. Master Cheng had said this so many times that he had forgotten about it. His voice was cold as he thought about what that woman had said. He had to steel his heart and forget about that woman. Just like before, Master Cheng asked a girl who knew how to sing a little song to sing a little song for him. It was also quite happy. He had said that it didn't matter whether he had that woman or not. What kind of person was Master Cheng? Why would he hang himself on a tree? Since she wanted to break up with him, he would just break up with her. Master Cheng found some fun that night. He didn't bring the women back from the villa. He just went to the clubhouse to have some fun. However, his underlings realized that Master Cheng had become a vegetarian recently. He only listened to music and did not have any other activities. That was strange. They were curious. Master Cheng was a little unnatural. What do you guys know? Don't you know that health is the trend now? I'm moderating myself. Really? His subordinates all thought that Master Cheng was keeping his chastity for someone, only Master Cheng himself didn't think so. Master Cheng felt that he had completely forgotten about that woman, Chichi. However, half a month later, when Sister Hong came to this clubhouse to spend money, she actually just sat in the bar for a while. The main reason was that she was under too much pressure from work and wanted to relax. However, Master Cheng felt that this woman was really flirtatious. She had only left him for a short while and she was already looking for another man. Master Cheng sat in a luxurious office with a huge LCD screen in front of him. He asked someone to bring it to Sister Hong so that he could see what she was doing. This woman was wearing so little in the middle of winter. Was she trying to seduce men? Also, she smoked and drank. Was she serious about not rejecting any man? He narrowed his eyes. This woman was not picky at all. Why didn't she continue with him? Master Cheng's eyes were burning with anger. He looked at the woman, who seemed to have lost some weight, but also looked better. You're already so old. Who are you trying to show this to? Master Cheng was not convinced. Fortunately, she didn't seem to be particularly friendly with anyone. Most of the time, she just chatted with them for a while and then didn't continue. Master Cheng heaved a sigh of relief in his heart. Just as he was feeling pleased, this woman still wanted him. In the next second, his eyes widened. This woman took her coat. Was she preparing to go home with a pretty boy? Master Cheng was about to go crazy. Chapter 52:10. This ignited the anger in Master Cheng's heart. He gritted his teeth. Fine, I rejected him just to find a gigolo. I'll take my money and have fun with a gigolo. How could there be such a logic in this world? Master Cheng felt that he had found a reasonable reason to care about her. Yes, that was it. She was spending my money and still wanted to fool around with a gigolo right under my nose. Did she think he was dead? Master Cheng found a reason and ordered his men to stop Sister Hong, especially that gigolo. He brought him to a place and beat him up. Needless to say, this was done by Master Cheng. Sister Hong was forced to sit on the sofa. In front of her were a few fat and strong men who surrounded her. Sister Hong found the leader familiar. Where's Cheng Zheng? Where's that bastard? The men did not dare to make a sound. Who in the underworld would dare to call Master Cheng a bastard? Only sister-in-law would dare to do so. She even dared to slap Master Cheng. Sister-in-law was their idol. Although Master Cheng said that he would detain her, they did not dare to touch her. They did not even dare to look at her. Sister-in-law was sacred to them. Only Master Cheng could touch her. Just when the situation was in a stalemate, Master Cheng walked over with an impatient face. Who called me? The men reminded him respectfully. Master Cheng, sister-in-law asked where the bastard is. Master Cheng glared. Which bastard? Am I a bastard? The men thought to themselves. If sister-in-law and that gigolo had a night together, wouldn't Master Cheng be a bastard? Master Cheng gritted his teeth and walked over with a sinister smile. Do you want to know how your gigolo is now? Sister Hong frowned. He's my new assistant. He sent me a file. What did you do to him? Ah, an assistant. Not a gigolo. Master Cheng scratched his head uncomfortably and coughed. So it's like this. I didn't do anything. I invited him for tea. I sent him home in a while. Sister Hong was well aware of Master Cheng's personality. She frowned and asked, where is he? I want to see him. Master Cheng smiled. There's nothing to see. Let him go back and give him a big red packet. Are you satisfied now? I'm sure he'll go home happily. As long as he wasn't a gigolo, everything was fine. She looked at Master Cheng, and her gaze made Master Cheng feel guilty. He smiled and said, Hey, don't look at me like that. You're giving me goosebumps. Women should be gentler. How can a man like you when you keep a straight face? Master Cheng was speechless. Master Cheng was speechless. He smiled and said, Hey, don't look at me like that. It's giving me goosebumps. While grinning mischievously, he was about to lean over. Sister Hong pushed him away and said in a faint voice with some disdain, No one wants you to like me. I can't afford Master Cheng's love. Master Cheng was about to lean over when Sister Hong said indifferently, Mr. Cheng, please behave yourself. I want to see my assistant. If there's a need, we can call the police. When Master Cheng heard this, he was filled with jealousy. His eyes were cold. Reporter Liu, do you want to see a dead fish or a live one? Sister Hong looked at him with disdain. Master Cheng was instantly stabbed. This woman was looking down on him. That's right. She didn't look up to him. She liked those scholars. Even fat men could make do. Chapter 52:11. Master Cheng was furious. He waved his hand. Let her go see her gigolo. Hurry up and leave. Don't dirty my place. Sister Hong sneered, but she didn't have the time to argue with him now. Sister Hong immediately went to see her assistant. Good heavens, 2 of his ribs were broken. It would be difficult for him to get up, let alone go to the hospital. Master Cheng leaned against the door and said sarcastically, Your heart must be aching. Sister Hong comforted the assistant and walked over to stand in front of Master Cheng. Master Cheng's men were watching from outside. Master Cheng didn't think much of it. However, in the next second, Sister Hong raised her hand and gave him 2 tight slaps. Send him to the hospital immediately. I won't call the police. Otherwise, Cheng Zheng, watch as I burn this place down. Master Cheng liked this kind of ferociousness the most. His subordinates also admired him very much. However, was it really okay for sister-in-law to slap Master Cheng in front of everyone? This would make Master Cheng lose face. As expected, Master Cheng's eyes turned red. Every time he saw Sister Hong, his eyes would turn red. It was either because he was angry or because of her. How dare you slap me? Master Cheng was furious. If you want to slap me, go home. I don't care about my face in front of outsiders. Sister Hong's fearless look made Master Cheng a little afraid. Master Cheng rubbed his head. I've said it before. Women can't be spoiled. Look, you've spoiled her. She dares to climb on top of your head and behave atrociously. He then said, men have to give in to women. I'm giving in to her because I'm not afraid of her. His subordinates all revealed an expression as if they understood him very well. Actually, Master Cheng didn't need to explain. They all knew and understood. Master Cheng looked at this bunch of bastards. Did they really understand? What did they understand? He didn't even know why he was so afraid of Liu Hong. It was as if his whole body would tremble the moment she looked at him. It was as if he had seen a ghost. Master Cheng reluctantly ordered his men. Carry him away. Carry him to the hospital. He's an eyesore. Then, he looked at Sister Hong. Are you satisfied now? Sister Hong looked at him coldly and didn't say anything. Master Cheng very reluctantly said, pay the medical fees, pay several $100,000, let him lie in bed for a year. Sister Hong was going crazy. Don't you have any shame? It's not good if I don't do anything, but you won't be happy if I do. You're so hard to please. Or do you feel sorry for him? Master Cheng rolled his eyes and said shamelessly, then if I break 2 of my ribs, will you feel sorry for me? Sister Hong cursed, pervert, and left for the hospital with one of her subordinates. It was Master Cheng's beloved car. Master Cheng was not convinced, and his heart was itching. In the end, he still followed them. Fortunately, there were only 2 broken ribs and no other injuries. Sister Hong contacted the assistant's family. She had already come to an agreement with the assistant privately. It wasn't that she wanted to help Master Cheng, but if the incident today was reported to the police, based on Master Cheng's personality, the assistant might really become a dead fish in the future. So, it was more practical to fight for compensation for him. Sister Hong hung up the phone and stood in the hospital corridor with Master Cheng, one on each side. Master Cheng looked at her expression and touched his nose. Why are you looking at me so fiercely? Why? Have you really fallen for the assistant's pretty boy? What's so good about him? He's already lying on the ground after hitting 2 people. Can a spineless person make you happy? Sister Hong's face was full of disdain. Cheng Jing, is your brain full of such rubbish? You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.